We're all owned by the syndicate, body and soul. Or should I just say body?
Hello, filthy movie lovers, something weirdos, and anti-criterion bros, to the 33rd episode of The Sin Syndicate, the only podcast with a leather wardrobe consultant, lingerie by Lady Marlene, and a no photos edict on the set. My name is Gentry Austin, writer and researcher, and I'm here with my co-host, adult film historian Casey Scott. And in this week's episode, we will be putting on our finest footwear and pulling out our stiffest riding crop for a look at a family nightclub drama with a dash of fetishism, director Jerry Intrator's Bad Girls Do It Well pulp noir, Satan in High Heels.
I'm the kind of a woman not hard to understand. I'm the one who cracks the whip and holds the upper hand. I'll beat you, mistreat you, till you quiver and quail. The female of the species is more deadly than the male. When you mess with me, you're fooling around with the flame. When you find that you've been burned, you've only yourself to blame. I'll hurt you, desert you, if you ever should fail. The female of the species is more deadly than the male.
I would, if I could.
Joining us again is the young OG, Alex DeSanto, a paperback aficionado who will be providing some important insight into the literary origins of this film, among other things. But we've got a stacked show notes this week, boys. Let's get right into it with our news and updates from the past couple weeks. I thought we'd start with a quick recap of last episode, The Most Beautiful Woman in the World, which featured writer, archivist Michael Bowen, who joined us in the shadow of Peggy Sarno's death for a sort of freewheeling conversation. I know we intended to cover the film, Anything for Money by Joe Sarno, but we didn't quite do that like we usually do, but sometimes circumstances change, and I'm happy with how it turned out. What do you guys think? Casey, I think you got some feedback.
I loved it. I didn't know. Well, the thing is, I send you the audio files, and then you do what you do. And so I was listening to it. First of all, I looked at the runtime. I was like 3 hours, because readers, you don't know this. We talked to him for 2.5 more hours after we stopped recording. It was
yeah, it was like 5. Mm-hmm.
Basically, we held a wake for Peggy because we get in the wake of all of that. But also, I think because, as Michael talked about, he's working on another project now that is not related to sexploitation. For him to kind of dive back into talking shop with us, where we're asking the quote unquote right questions, and we're obviously passionate about it. I think it really got his motor running, and so he really just wanted to keep talking. And I'm glad we were able to do that. We did get really good feedback. I'm not going to credit who it is, but so we got this message. We have a group chat with somebody who will be on the show next week. We'll leave it there. So he said, "Okay, I listened to the Sarno Bowen episode on my drive today. That needs to be packaged up and put in the Library of Congress, the Kinsey Institute, and a copy placed in the next capsule NASA sends into outer space representing mankind to extraterrestrials." I was honestly so worn out by it in a good way. Put Michael in some kind of protective custody until he gets these books out. And I co-sign all of that. Because, typically I will listen to our episodes a few times because I also add to the letterbox list of all the master movies and things. And that was reliving it was exhausting in a good way because there was so much covered. It wasn't just Sarno. Like, we diverted into Wishman and we diverted it jumped all over the place, but in the best way possible. And I think going forward, if we're going to have somebody who's an expert on a certain filmmaker, it might be best to just do that kind of conversation. Kind of like what we did with Lisa, where it was just about something weird and Dave Friedman. I think if we try to stick to one film, it kind of restricts it. And so with Bowen, he was able to talk about every aspect of Sarno's life and career, and then Peggy's life and career. So I think it worked out really well.
Yeah. What about you, Alex? What'd you think looking back?
I'm mirroring the exact same thing. I need to go back and take notes. I need to go back and take so many notes for my research.
I need to. Yeah, I need to too.
Yeah. And also, folks, just let you know, because it hasn't been made available yet. Anything for Money is available to watch on YouTube until someone takes it down. So just go watch it, honestly. Just go watch it and learn that it's a great Sarno.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't put it up on archive.org, actually, because you can get away with anything on archive.org. There are pink films, very graphic pink films on there that have been up for years. So maybe that's where, if it gets taken down, whoever put it up, if you're listening, put it on archive.org until a certain company decides that they're going to reissue it, whenever that is. But we'll have a conversation with that person, probably on this show at some point.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to put a link to that YouTube or not. I didn't know it was on YouTube.
YouTube is the easiest thing to search. Just go find it, folks.
Yeah, just anything for Money, 1967. It's right
just go
there.
find it.
It's right there.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we've had this discussion before. People that are like, where do I watch this? And I'm always like, I don't know how to answer this question. I don't know.
Well, then you should not. Yeah, like I think you asked about a certain film, and I was like, yeah, just a standard thing is I have access to the home video release of those, and that's kind of it. It's because then anything else kind of invites the possibility of you sending them a file, and if you don't want to do that, then it kind of leaves you looking like you're gatekeeping stuff, and it's like, well, I'm not doing that. I just want the movie to come out in a good condition, and I feel like if it's spread around too much in covert ways, then maybe it won't. I mean, there's levels to this. I get it. So,
and and this segues into our other note here, where I stumbled on this YouTube account that has all these AI upscaled sexploitation movies, and they're like credited as 4K. Come watch 4K of A Good Time with a Bad Girl. It's just like, this is not a legit 4K, but that's how they're advertising it. And people, I've seen reviews on Letterboxd. This guy's like, oh yeah, go watch it. It's in 4K. I'm like, dude, do you know what this is? This is garbage. Like,
so spoiler alert, that review might be the person who actually did the AI upscaling and is trying to promote it.
Wow.
Why else would they say, I watched it in 4K, you guys? Who else raves about, oh my God, it's in 4K in a review, unless it's the person responsible?
I think there are like weirdo freaks out there that are like obsessed with anything 4K. Like if it says 4K, they're like, they think this is some very special, rare thing that they can like brag about. Right. I don't know.
And it's an AI upscale from a DVD rip.
Yes.
I mean, well, I will say, like the adult side, those of us who sailed the pirate seas, I'll put it that way, looking for rare stuff. Yeah. I've had to deal with AI upscaled versions of classic gay porn and straight porn for a long time. And I am always the one in the comments, because sometimes they won't tag it as AI upscaled, and I'll watch it and it's gross and the movements are weird. And especially if you're working from an old VHS source, it really looks so unnatural and disgusting. So I'm the person in the comments saying, why did you do this? You destroyed this film.
Yeah.
And they get really offended. I'm like, this doesn't make the film look better. I don't know if you have glaucoma. I don't know what the issue is. Any normal eye will notice this does not look good. So it's and they do it, I think, so that they can get they can get download points or whatever, or their ratio can go up on those certain sites. And it's just like,
so they can show that it's HD. Yeah. So they can just like pin it as like, oh, this is an HD. And people that are searching for things, they're going to prefer something that's in HD without really realizing like this was never scanned in HD. So this is clearly an upscale.
And in many cases, it never will be, because a lot of those films, the elements are gone, especially in classic gay porn. We have like all of Joe Gage's stuff, all those elements are gone. So all of his stuff has been upscaled in AI, and it just looks so revolting and disgusting. And I also got to tell you, money shots in AI look especially revolting because they look so unnatural and so fake and weird and animated. And so I'm just like, what is this? Who is co-signing this and who is accepting this? It's very strange.
Well, let me just lastly just say, the black and white stuff doesn't look as bad, but the color stuff, definitely you can notice the AI upscaling. It's butchering the films. We're not gatekeeping here. Like, we know YouTube is the most accessible place to find films for especially people that are in other countries that don't have access to this stuff. But just there's got to be a better way to do this than to go on YouTube and watch this crap. Go ahead.
Also,
Alex.
I don't even know how they're doing it. YouTube should have taken this down centuries ago. We were just talking about this. YouTube freaked out so badly. Like I've gotten 2 channels removed for like secretly like making links for other people on this stuff and things. Like, how are they still here?
Yeah. I had stuff taken down for music. I actually had Trauma to have one of my videos taken down because it was from one of the X-rated movies Lloyd Kaufman made. And Michael Hers is very insistent on people don't know that Trauma was a porn company in the 70s, even though it's all out there in the open in writing on posters and shit. So yeah, I got a notification. Michael Hers and Trauma Inc. has submitted a copyright claim on your video. And I was like, interesting, Michael. I thought you own the movie. You're just saying you didn't make it. I see. Okay. Why do you own porn, Michael? What's the issue? So yeah. YouTube. Yeah, I can't imagine. I can't believe YouTube is leaving that. That's why I'm shocked. Anything for Money's still up. I mean, there is nudity in that.
Right. Yeah, I posted a very short clip a long time ago from Anything for Money, and I forgot that like you can barely see like Joanna Mills's areola, and that got flagged. So I have no idea what's going on with this account. That is, I mean, they have like Russ Meyer films. And
they're incredibly 4K. Litigious. So who the hell is letting that happen?
I just checked. Yeah. Yes, this YouTube account is still up. So it's got 9,000 subscribers. Hey, DM us if you want to take a look at it, but we're not going to post a link to it.
Do not DM us about this. You should not put your eyes on. We're any.
Please leave us alone, please.
Because any clicks on that profile will automatically generate something good for that profile in terms of the algorithm, in terms of views, in terms of attention. No. So that click you just clicked on, Gentry, that will be your last click. Right. Not give them any more attention because it's obvious. It's probably monetized too. So they probably get money from every click and view. So remember the Simpsons song? Just don't look, just don't look, just don't look.
All right.
Just don't look.
New Beverly updates. What's going on over there? Do we want to talk about it's been a couple weeks. What have they screened? Yes, Inga.
What haven't they screened? Yeah, today's the 21st, so we're 21 days into this marathon thing,
experiment.
Which I've gotten a lot more feedback on this where people thought I was maybe a little too harsh on them. And I was like, listen, I love the idea. But like I said, I think if there was more intention with the way this was done, it would have been more successful. Instead, and then I apparently heard that there were more people involved with programming this than I would have realized. It wasn't just like one person who's just like, well, what prints do we have? So that makes it even worse to me. It's kind of like, wait, there were a lot of hands in this pie and they still couldn't get a handle on this. The big one that I remember, well, Smell of Honey, I did a preemptive letterbox review after I had like 12 beers. And I was just like, New Beverly crowd, you need to understand, like, Stacey Walker is incredible. And she walked off camera into a terrible marriage with this asshole who abandoned her. Like, the end of the movie is sad for me because of that, because it's like, we're never going to see her again. So as disturbing as not, what's the word? As problematic as that movie is, I think outside of the film is more disturbing to me because, Stacey Walker got shafted. Inga, we found out, was missing the masturbation sequence, which is the centerpiece of the fucking movie. And so I'm just like, and so people giving it like 2.5 stars, 2 stars. Someone gave it a 0.5 star. You sent me a review where it was some woman who was playing victim saying, I was the only woman in the theater full of men. I was like, listen, Gloria Steinem, I'm sure you were fine. And I'm sure you weren't the only woman there because that's not how the New Beverly works. There are all sorts of alt women that go to those screenings. So no.
And also, it was the second film. You could have left. It was the second film. You could have walked out.
I
You
think they're
came and
on a
watched a
date.
Bergman movie. If they were on a date, then that's a weird date. Because yeah, I don't know. Well, then I would question the good person who brought me. But the fact that yeah, people saw this, and I think there was other part of a sex scene missing too.
I think
So
at the end was, yeah, there was something missing at the end as well.
right. And I think people also have problems with the fact that she was a 17-year-old girl being like pimped out by her aunt. And I'm like, welcome to Sarno. Like, come on now. Sarno films have a lot of family members doing terrible things to each other, and that's just that's something I wish we'd ask Bowen about. It's like, what the fuck is up with family members trying to seduce each other or trying to pimp each other out? And it's a recurring theme in his films where family members are really corrupt towards each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the feedback hasn't been terrible. What was the one where I was commenting on people's stuff? Oh, Black Emanuel.
Yeah.
A movie I don't even love, but I was defending Laura Gemser and kind of
Just
telling
the
people,
fact that
well,
you could see her on a big screen.
Yes.
Yeah, like,
and someone was like, I just got bored and was looking at counting the emotional scars. And I was like, well, that's really sad for you because you're getting to see one of the most beautiful women who's ever been photographed on the big screen on a print, and you're counting emotion scars. I think you might be broken. And I feel sad for you. Yeah, I mean, that's really kind of what it is. I don't even hate you. I just feel sorry for you. Yeah, just a sad situation.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there was anything else there that played that we are interested.
Well, Smell of Honey for sure, which we talked about. Yeah, apparently they brought one of the private duty nurses out. They brought a guest out for the worst movie of that triple feature for student nurses, private duty, and young. I was like, you didn't get Elaine Giftos wouldn't have shown up, but yeah, I was like, you didn't even get one of the student nurses to show up. You got one of the private duty nurses. Joyce Williams, though, which is
available.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen her because she's done other stuff I would have wanted to talk to her about. But also, what's torture at those things? Q&As at the New Beverly. It's especially at that venue. It's a lot of really bad questions.
Yeah.
Sometimes not even questions, just like, I just have to say, like, I really like this movie and it reminded me of this time in my life and this thing in my life. It's like, this is not therapy. This is not the time for that. This is when you corner them after the screening and make their life hell. Don't make our lives hell. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I heard too much about Vixen and Up, but then again, I don't know if I was really crawling through the recent reviews on that one.
Well,
I don't know if
got good feedback, which I'm very surprised by because there is so much sexual assault in that movie. Yeah, I don't know. They said it went over well with the crowd, which is interesting because that's not like not a Meyer crowd. So I feel like maybe Up is good for. I don't know that many Meyer people that actually really like that movie. I know a lot of non-Meyer people that like that movie, and I think that's very strange because I feel like stuff like Faster Pussycat, Common Law Cabin, Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, those are more indicative of what Meyer movies are like. But
well, and Gavin was at the Vixen screening, so maybe people were a little bit better behaved in there.
That's possible. Well, that's the thing. If they knew she was going to come, I really wish they paired it with Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Yeah.
That would have made sense. But Fox also is really weird about what they'll let be shown theatrically. And they don't distribute prints anymore, so they'd have to get like a private print, and Fox might not be cool about that. So
yeah. Well, tonight and tomorrow tonight's the Mitchell Brothers double feature. That should be interesting.
Yeah, I wish I was going to that.
And then tomorrow's the hardcore horror with the secret surprise third feature, which on that other podcast, the official New Beverly podcast, they were kind of raving about that third feature. So I'm curious to see what that is.
I'm intrigued because I don't know any other horror XXX horror movie that was thought lost for years.
That apparently Vinegar Syndrome
found. But if they had that, then why hasn't it been reissued? Or they just find it? Yeah, it makes me I have questions. So I don't know.
Yep. Yeah. All right, that's enough about New Beverly. Let's move on. We ranted about that. What's going on with these? We got some more Lost and in Limbo. Is this you,
do
Alex?
we?
Yeah, the Sweden find.
Oh my God, yes. Well,
yeah,
I forgot about that because their stupid website has gone funky again, and I can't find anything.
Oh, it fluctuates. It fluctuates. I went back on, and they were there too. Yeah, so I had posted about the fact because I had asked Michael. I was like, Michael, can you please just tell me if there's any elements for Come Ride the Wild Pink Horse? And all he said was, oh, there's a 16 in the UK that Private Collector has. So when I put up the press book, I just did a little thing saying, well, it's limbo now. It's not lost. It's limbo now because 16 exists. Sean Langrick, bless his soul, like contacts me like an hour after I put that up. And he goes, A, were you aware that a German print has screened twice here? I'm like,
Damn.
fantastic. And
Here,
then
as
I'm
in,
like,
like here, America?
no, in Germany.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's screened in Germany twice. And then a minute after he goes, yeah, the Swedish Film Institute has a 16 millimeter negative. I'm like, wait,
Must be a
what?
dupe neg. Yeah.
There's a 16 millimeter negative. So I go on there, and lo and behold, one little distributor put out a small handful of American sexploitation films. Two of them being, Room 11 was one of them, which we've already brought up. But there was also Come Ride the Wild Pink Horse, Bed of Violence, two Sandy Johnson films, Infidelity
Justine,
American
right?
Style, and Justine.
Yeah.
And some other weird things. There's Millionaires Women, Switcheroo, and I think maybe something.
Switcheroo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Lord,
Switcheroo.
okay. Oh wait, Switcheroo, the guy, the one that what's his face, Don Greer did?
Yeah, the
That
1969 one? I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, Don Greer. Oh Lord. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
yeah,
only seen the trailer, obviously. Yeah.
Oh, and also a 35 dupe neg for Love Rebellion as well.
Which was very good. Maybe it's in English.
What was also
Right.
Yeah, there was also a Lost Barry Mahon film. Which one was that? There was a slavery one. White slavery.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, white slave.
Oh, White Slaves or something. White Slavery?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they have a print of white slavery.
Wow.
And then that, of course, lit a fire under my ass. So I went along and found The Seducers in Germany.
That's right.
A German print exists of that one. So that's also around. So what was that? 3 of our picks? No, 4, because Infidelity was one of ours
4.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah, because none of us picked Bed of Violence.
Yeah, like this is cool and all, but now what?
Well, that's why you probably noticed in the chat that my excitement was slightly muted, just because I feel like if these were, because I think even Michael said, "Oh yeah, I've known they've had those," and I was just like, okay, then are they difficult to deal with? Or are they saying they don't have them? It definitely makes me ask more questions, and it makes me really want to ask Club Super 8 if they ever had to deal with Swedish Film Institute.
Yes.
Yeah,
ask Ricard and see what he has to say. Just because, I mean, I got worried if they were like UCLA, where it's like, well, you need, depending on who deposited that collection, if you're not connected to who deposited it, they won't let you take it out, which is. But if it's a defunct company, then who the hell can take it out? So then it kind of begs that question. But I know I'm glad that it's there. But I'm like, yeah, let's get this shit rescued, please. Yeah, and especially because I think most of them are black and white correct, so I know they're going to look great.
Yes.
From negatives, yeah, please. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, also, you mentioning The Seducers does remind me we did get that sad piece of news from Michael as well, confirmation. That Miss Sheba Britt unfortunately did pass away, and this is also why public records cannot always be trusted, because public records still tells me she's alive. So
yeah,
such
sorry,
a bummer.
folks.
But he interviewed her twice, right? I think.
Yes, we got something.
Yeah. So those books will come out. Actually, something I need to suggest him, if he's going to do an oral history, he should try to edit together from the interviews a audiobook version so we can hear the people actually say this.
Wow. Yeah, that'd be a lot of work, but yeah, that would be cool.
He doesn't have to do it. You have somebody else do it. I would do it. I love editing. I'll do it.
Yeah, I hope the quality's good. We'll see.
I know that's the thing, because if they were talking like 25 years ago, long time ago. Jesus. Yeah, because some of my interviews are that old too, and they don't sound amazing.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I'm like, yeah, what is the quality of those interviews?
Yeah, you have to do a lot of like work on those tapes, especially if they're over like because now we have digital recordings. When you're doing it over like the phone lines, just that phone static is very obvious.
Yeah.
That was a bummer. But now I really want to see Seducers more, especially because the movie we're talking about today makes me think that they might be similar, and that they're kind of aiming for the stars with like professional people involved.
Right.
I could see that.
Yeah.
The Graham Place resurgence. I think this came up because I watched a few recently, and I was
Yes,
just
you finally
raving.
joined the club.
Yeah, just I don't understand why I have never heard of him before talking to you
Yeah,
guys. Like,
yeah.
okay, give us like a quick brief, maybe we'll talk about a Grand Place movie down the road,
Hmm.
but give us
Hmm.
like a quick I don't know, like a Cliff's Notes on him because yeah, his
Well,
work's
that's the
incredible.
thing. We don't have a cliff notes. Essentially, like you would ask what of his credits are accurate.
Yeah.
Basically, he worked with anything on IMDb up to 1980 is absolutely him because it's him working in New York, the New York area, with Ron Sullivan, Armand Weston, a lot of other sex film people, Don Walters. It's all this Arthur Marks. So, but he would work with Arthur Marks. Anytime you see the credit St. Mark's Place on anything, that's Arthur Marks and Graham Place working together. So, the issue is, I don't know if I told this story before. I was Ron Sullivan, God rest his soul, when he found out he was dying. And he couldn't undergo chemo any longer, and it was basically biding his time. Um, he sent me an email with all of his contacts and said, here's everyone. If you ever want to talk to anybody about this time in the industry, here are all of these contacts. Tell them that I sent you, even after I'm gone, and
Wow.
that should work. I was like, God, Ron, he didn't need to do that, but he wanted to make sure I got the story. One of those people was Don Walters. I emailed Don Walters while Ron was alive, which may have been my mistake. And I said I wanted to talk about your group. I want to talk about you and Art and Graham Place and Arthur Marks. I wanted to know about this collective because the films you made together are amazing. He was the nastiest son of a bitch I've ever contacted. He said, how dare you bother Ron as he's dying for my contact? And I was like, that's not what happened. He unsolicited found out he was dying and we were talking anyway, and he sent me all this shit. And he was like, and this person's dead. He said, one of this person is dead. One is very busy. One I would never put you in touch with because I don't even know who you are. But he was so nasty, which is crazy because I met his wife, Bondi, Chelly Wilson's daughter. Bondi's amazing, but Don, nastiest guy I've ever spoken to
Wow.
in any of my years doing this work.
Yeah.
And
He wrote a lot of these Grand Place movies, right?
yes, exactly. Yeah, he's involved with all these things. Like I think he wrote Anything Once. Yeah, and that was the one I really wanted to talk about because this movie is really incredible. Like I want to know all about it.
Yeah.
So the three movies that Graham Place directed are Anything Once, Room and Broad, and The Procurer. And I wrote liner notes for I think all three of them. For Something Weird. They were issuing the District stuff. And that's when Lore on IMDb, Lawrence Cohen, former Variety reviewer, called me up by name and said I was a shill for like hyping up this director who was terrible and a piece of shit. And so when you guys finally saw these movies and were like, wow, okay, these are really good. It lifted up so much baggage connected to the Grand Place name because for years I was like, well, maybe I'm delusional because I raved about these movies because I wanted people to watch them. And this Variety critic said that I was a piece of shit, then I was wrong. But the fact that you guys, whose taste I trust, agree with me makes me feel so much better. It lifted all the baggage off the Grand Place name. So I'm ready to go back into Grand Place land because I'd like to know if he was responsible for all the other stuff that he's credited for on IMDb, like the Men in Black films. I don't know if that's the Grand Place that we know or not. So
yeah, I saw those credits. I was just like, this is. I don't know what to make of all this. This is just too much. We need to sort.
And there's another Grand Place that's not connected. I'm like, is that the same guy? So yeah, it needs more research. But I kind of stopped because of the Don Walters thing and the Lore thing. I was like, okay, this soured everything for me, and it soured it for me. But yeah, it's time to get back into his stuff.
Alex, what are your thoughts?
Oh God, I've already gone on so long about him and other ones. I feel like people are about to be like really tired.
No, I think this means that all of you people listening need to go find the Grand Place movies.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It is such an absolute shame. Here's why, again, Gentry, and then also until Casey mentioned it like 2 months ago, I never really heard about these either, except for like slightly in passing, because they're some of the most obscure, Something Weird sexploitation releases. They're some of the most nightmarish ones to find because they're in that District's like Sam Lake catalog.
Yep.
And a lot of those
out of print like 25 years ago.
Yeah, and a lot of those have been nightmarish to find. Yeah, even compared like the Harry Novak catalog was around for a lot longer. A lot of the other ones were available for a lot longer. So like besides things like the playpen that were so quickly cease and desisted, those are like without a doubt some of the rarest something weird releases in terms of exploitation, I mean.
Yeah, I was watching anything once. I had to pause it. I was so upset. I was just like, I've never heard of this. This is so far out of print. We need to talk to certain somebody like ASAP.
I know. Well, especially because it's a no-brainer triple. It's 3 films by the same director and all the same creative people involved too. And Distripix actually has a working relationship with Don Walters, and Steven has said he's going to try to fix things between the two of us. He says he probably doesn't even remember. And I'm like, well, the North doesn't forget. I remember. So, I please break bread with this guy because he directed one of my all-time favorite. Or no, he wrote one of my all-time favorite sexploitation movies, and that's important to me. That movie made such an impact on me because I thought it was one of the situations like Alex. You think you've seen everything, and then you stumble upon this thing. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Why isn't this better known? You'd wade through so much shit, and it's just like, wow, okay. People were still like delivering stuff at the tail end of softcore. Yeah.
And the negs are there.
Exactly.
They're all there.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful elements.
Kristen Steen is the star of The Procure. She's still around. Let's interview her. We have leads on 2 of the people from Anything Once. Let's get them involved. So, there aren't enough Distripix releases of the black and white stuff on the schedule to please my soul. So I would love for that to be the next one. I don't care I don't care that there's no name people involved. I think if you push it hard enough and we can help push it hard enough, I think people would give them a chance for sure.
We already are.
Exactly. We're telling everybody to go watch these goddamn movies. I know. Go watch them. You will not be disappointed. Don't listen to lore. I was right. I feel so vindicated. Okay.
Glad to help.
That was a major thing for me for a while.
He was wrong about like a bunch of other ones. Like I went into this sporting house thinking it was going to be really bad, and I'm like, wait, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah,
Sporting House is
like
great
stuff.
too. Oh, God.
He doesn't like stuff. He doesn't like when films aim higher than sexploitation.
Then they're supposed to.
Because then he's like, well, this is supposed to be sexy and it's not sexy. I'm like, okay, thank you, 1970s mindset. Like, you have. Well, you and I know, we all know that.
He said the Linda Boyce and Uta Erickson sex scene was not sexy. Is that what you're saying?
Is that what he wrote in the review?
Well, I'm asking you. He said it. You said something about he didn't think it was sexy.
The shower scene was not sexy.
Typically, he'll complain about something because he describes it. He still calls softcore porn. I mean, that's how old school he is. So he says this is porn. This is supposed to be erotic.
All right. Anyway,
which is fine, but also it's softcore and it's a different time. Like not everything is gonna match erotically.
Those scenes are decently erotically charged too. Like they're good,
right?
Like they deliver in the year that they do.
There's so much good story and acting around it anyway. So even if the sex isn't good, it'll eventually be over, and you move on to the good stuff in the movie too. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, more. Stay tuned on that. Yeah, we will keep pounding that drum.
Yes,
trust us
for sure.
Yeah, let me do a quick personal promo here. I was if you follow us on the Instagram, the Sin Syndicate, you may have seen I was on the In Film We Trust podcast. And just like Casey doing a solo commentary, it was kind of weird not having him there. Just kidding.
Aww. You wouldn't have wanted me there because I would not have been that kind of
I know, I didn't want, exactly. I didn't want you there.
You were in your safe space, right?
I talked about my favorite film, Lore. Yeah, so my new Scottish friend Liam, I had messaged him a while back about maybe doing something because I was really impressed with his podcast. I listened to a few episodes, and he takes it. He's not just like watching these movies and surface level, making little jokes and moving on with his life. Like he looks at them pretty closely, and I knew he would give Lore a respectful analysis, which he absolutely did, and I think it was a good episode. And of course, any chance I get to talk about Annie Bell, and if it's not completely obvious yet, I am writing a book about Annie Bell, and that's kind of out in the open now. So I'm still trying to get the word out, and I'm hoping some dream publisher just contacts me and we can move forward. But until then, I'm still just just working on the book as much as I can, and hopefully we can do something down the road with it that's not involving me putting up all the money and self-publishing it myself. So,
Work for
anyways,
Mark Murray. Have you talked to Mark Murray already?
I've looked into what he's done, yes, but I have not
You should.
spoken to him, so I will talk to him,
Yeah.
yes.
You should. He's
But-
very quick to help. And that Rudy Ray Moore book was a massive labor of love. And so
Yeah.
I can see a similar drive and passion there. So I think you should talk
Okay.
to him about that. Yeah.
Yeah. The more I look into like book publishing, I told Jeremy Ritchie this as well. I'm like, I can't even believe your Emmanuel book got published. Like, you should be very proud of that. It's kind of a miracle that, you got this giant hardcover book with tons of nudity in it published. Like, this is hard to do nowadays. Publishers are not that adventurous. So,
No. Well, also, we already talked to somebody who is launching their own publishing arm named Michael Bowen.
Yes, Michael Bowen.
So, let him do his one first.
I know. I was like, hey, do you want to? I was like, no, he's got to do his first.
Yes, let him do all three first, and then he needs to keep the line going. Right.
Yeah. Also, there was my friend Maddie. She released a little handcrafted zine called Skiro. She's been doing that. She did it a while back, but she's kind of returned to it because of all the whole ICE situation here in Minneapolis. And so all the proceeds go to immigrant rights organizations here locally. I contributed a piece about, so she asked me to contribute a piece about like your favorite movie going experience in Minnesota. And so I just whipped up something. I was like, oh, wait, this isn't exactly my favorite, but it was a fun story about going to see Event Horizon with my dad when I was 10 years old.
Oh.
So.
Oh, wait, Gentry. I just did the math on how old you are.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, this is going to out me, isn't it?
Well, not to bring things down, how are things in Minneapolis in that regard right now? Because I feel like we're not getting the full picture because there's all sorts of other shit so much shit going on everywhere else.
Yeah. I mean, they have dialed it back, but they're still around. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
These masked thugs are still running around, but they've kind of changed their tactics a bit. They're trying to like be a little bit more clandestine about it. They're like posing as, ladies with their car broken down so that they can.
Oh, I saw that bullshit.
Yeah, you saw that. Yeah, stuff like
that. Like being punished for being a good person. Yeah,
right.
Terrible.
God.
Absolutely atrocious. Well, that's very similar, honestly, to the IDF using sounds of crying babies to lure people out so they can shoot them.
Yeah,
it's all connected, people. We don't get political on this podcast that frequently, but yeah, it's all connected. We have a lot of people above us that want us dead. So thank God for sexploitation, right, guys?
Right. And you know what is amazing?
God bless Ruffies.
Yes. God bless Ruffies. We can let out some frustration with these films, right?
And what is amazing is that there are still rep theaters like willing to program some of this stuff, like the Beacon Theater in Seattle, Washington, which is going to be screening the movie we're about to talk about, Satan in High Heels, on Friday, February 27th. And Jane Garrett, archivist, librarian, author of A Bizarre Life, a biography of John Willie, she's going to be introing that. So that's amazing. If you can get out to that, you should definitely check it out. I think this movie would look great on a big screen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's part of the Sex Fest, which is funny because this movie is not super. I mean, it's pretty chaste when you get down to it, but we'll
very
talk
much
about
so. Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think maybe that's why Alex, when we were doing the Q&A, we kind of forgot about that in terms of film noir, because we were also we were thinking of sexy movies that are noir, and this film isn't sexy. It's just basically a noir with some like naughtiness.
There's sleaze along the edges of the frame if you really look hard.
Yeah. Yes, and there's queer themes, which is that's kind of what probably would have gotten the film in trouble. But it's not vividly explained. We'll talk about it, but
yeah. But Jane, I'm sure she'll talk about she's written a book on John Willie, and there is a John Willie connection to this film. So yeah, I'm sure she'll be talking about that in depth. We'll talk about it a little bit as well. So let's get right into it here. Where do we want to start with Satan in High Heels? Well, let's start with the home video release history. That's a good place to start. Casey?
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the first sexy shockers, which is the Frank Henenlotter banner, where it was a film that was kind of like horror or horror adjacent or like thrilling with some sexy stuff. So, it was number
That's
7.
pushing it. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, there was enough naughtiness or adults only content that they couldn't have put it in like Johnny Legend's Untamed Video. Because Untamed Video is where you would have like exploitation stuff movies like Girl on a Chain Gang, and actually they had that Runaway Girl with Lily St. Cyr, which is a little sexier. That probably should have been another category, but this is kind of a sexy shocker. I think Satan probably is another reason why they had it in there.
Oh yeah.
They just wanted to make sure that it was, put in the best category to get some eyes on it.
Yep. And then the Image DVD was what was it paired with? It was with The Wild and the Naked.
It was on its own, and then Wild and the Naked was like a bonus feature. Your favorite thing, the bonus feature.
They
both came out the same year, and it's so crazy to think that on the East Coast we get stuff like Satan in High Heels, then in Texas we get totally insane shit like The Wild and the Naked. Very, very different mindsets in 1962 sexploitation.
Same thing with the Confessions of a Psycho Cat release. Hot Blooded Woman is on that one.
Yes, same year.
Going from that
what
to
the
that,
shit?
like, what?
Yes, right.
Yeah,
well, actually, not technically same year, but yeah, I think the original was 65, and then the rest was 68, maybe. I don't remember. But so different.
64, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, but so different. Yeah, it's just, and that's kind of funny. It's like I always like the bonus features where like, well, this is tangentially related, but so different. I do enjoy that.
So there's a new restoration of this by a certain somebody. So the future you have here, the future looks bleak for a reissue. That's true.
Yeah, sorry. Well, honestly, the fact that it's showing at Sex Fest is at least promising, because that means that it's going to be back in the conversation. You can potentially book it for other rep screenings so that it can have more eyes on it. I think that's promising. I think in terms of home video, though, there's just so many bridges that have been burned. I don't know who would.
Which sucks, because we'll get into this, but there's things we would love to see related to this film.
Why doesn't
that would only see the light on home video?
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Why doesn't this person start their own home video label?
They don't know what they're doing.
They don't know what they're doing.
They would piss people off.
I'll just say that was the original intent way back when.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, I think they just got distracted or ran into some walls.
With what? They haven't made a film in years.
No, they got excited about this, then they immediately got excited about something else, like they always do.
Right. It was like a
to the next new shiny thing. Yeah.
Yes, a dangly keychain of sexploitation, and then something else, and then leaving everyone else left behind picking up the pieces, but with no actual power or money to do anything with those pieces. Yeah. Not great.
Yeah.
Not great.
So that's the history.
If you'll listen to our Disconnected show, you'll know who we're talking. Go back and listen to that.
You know what, folks? Thank YouTube again. Go on to YouTube, type in Satan High Heels 2017 restoration. It's right there.
Yeah,
yes.
It is right there.
Once again, YouTube saving the day.
And it's not AI upscaled.
No. This is from the negative. Yes, this is a beautiful restoration from the neg.
Yeah, and the DVD already looked great, so it could only be more stunning. I think the DVD is a little darker, and then you just brighten it up with the restoration for sure.
Leonard Bertman. Let's talk about this is Alex's zone here. I mean, so this is a name that I'm trying to remember. Is his name in the credits?
Yes, as producer.
Okay. Yes, so he is producer. He had a lot. We'll get into it, but he had quite a bit to do with getting this picture made, even if it didn't fully fit his vision. Is that an accurate way to?
Yeah, this was pretty much Leonard's baby.
Yeah,
which I'll get into it, but also because it's his baby, I'm shocked it is as tame as it is, because Leonard Bertman is best known for being not one of the first pioneers, but also like a pioneer in what would become our now contemporary fetish culture, which I am now about to get into with this wonderfully long history about him. But he did a lot of stuff, folks. He did a lot of stuff. So getting right into it, Leonard Bertman was born August 20 in Columbus, Nebraska. Right off the bat, his father already was a newspaper owner and editor. But he did not follow father's suit. He went into electronics. His number one job title that has been found mostly is radio engineer. Most interesting thing about him is that he was part of one group of researcher staff who worked on the atom bomb. He was in the development of telemetering devices.
Wow.
And then other papers like would take it and be like, he was so close. He was a scientist. No, he was not. He was not a scientist at all.
He's just working on one tiny piece of this gigantic project.
Yes, exactly. He's one team amidst many. But that started to go south when first he was charged with theft and embezzlement of government property in 1944 while working as a civilian radio technician at a military base. 2 years later, he was arrested again for failing to report for military induction as local board, aka draft evasion. But I forget why, but because he was working on other things at the time, he kind of had a somewhat good reason for not reporting. The U.S. declined to prosecute. Yeah. But the final and worst one was an arrest in 1949 for transporting stolen property. And while he was under investigation for that, he was found to have also been passing bad checks under an alias. So he spent a year in federal prison for that. So now, he's completely unemployable in that profession. I do not know when it says, sorry. He then actually switched courses and became a girly photographer in New York City, starting around 1951. And right off the bat began to freelance for some notable people, most Irving Klaw in particular. And a publisher named Robert Harrison, who was behind a lot of the early 50s little cheesecake magazines like Beauty Parade, Wink, Flirt, those really innocent ones. And he even got to photograph Betty Page as well quite a few times, interestingly enough.
Well, let me ask you this, Alex. So this is a guy who just got out of prison and he's working with Irving Klaw. Like, do you think Irving Klaw knew his background at all? Because I feel like Irving Klaw would have been trying to keep his own nose clean when he's associated with this.
Well, he was also in prison for something so different. This wasn't like any obscenity or something like that. Like this was military related stolen property.
Yeah, I guess.
For the most part. So
I also think he might have been. I think people in that industry, if they were. I feel like it's this industry was kind of a place where people on the outskirts of society could feel a little bit of safety.
Yeah, so that's true.
I don't think anybody's judging anybody for their previous criminal record unless it's like murder or rape or something involving children. Yeah. Something like this, like whatever. Yeah.
All good. All good.
Yeah.
In the circle.
But his life becomes very interesting while living in New York City. And it's so sad that it's twist of fate. He was a workaholic. He died at his work desk in 1989. It's so ghastly that he did die because we have no idea what kind of a person he was outside of his work and things like that. We can only infer based on some of the people he began to socialize at this time. One of them being John Willie, who published the groundbreaking fetish publication Bizarre beginning in 1945 and was also behind almost all the illustrations in that. And Bizarre was very groundbreaking. That was the first type of fetish culture type publication. Back in those days, Bizarre was synonymous with the word fetish. And that was very groundbreaking. It wasn't just like for prurient interest. It also had all sorts of fascinating articles on like why people are into certain things and stuff and such like that. Taschen put out a really great 3-volume collection back in the 90s. You could still find. It's a really fascinating publication to read. So yeah, that is his John Willie affiliation. And then also besides John Willie, he was also pals with a man named Charles Guyette. Charles Guyette was a costumer for burlesque and strippers, and also designed a lot of more leathery fetish oriented things. He also did mail order for these types of outfits. So he was the pioneer in like what contemporary fetish outfit like designs and things that we see today. Charles Guyette pioneered that stuff based on like in the US. Like this was fetishism was kind of more of a thing in France before this time, but not really in America yet. These people kind of really brought this idea into America. And then around this time, the third man who's also going to be very important to him is what became his longtime business partner, who was himself an ex-burlesque club owner and smut peddler named Benedict Himmel. So in 1984, he and Benedict 1984. Wow. Okay. 54. He and Himmel started a publishing company called Burmel. And their first magazine was really mostly inspired by Bizarre and Charles Guyette's work. And also this UK publication at the time called Fads and Fancies that was also a kind of bizarre publication. They digest mag Exotica, which then became Exotique, which, yeah, it was pretty much bizarre with some slightly kinkier illustrations. I'm trying to remember I think Gene Bilbrew did a lot of illustrations for this one. This was the beginning of their affiliation.
Is it a mix of illustrations and photographs?
Illustrations.
All illustrations.
Mm-hmm. Illustrations and a lot of text. Taschen also did a great 3-volume collection of this one too. So you can also get this one, which then changed to Exotique. And yeah, it had artwork from notable fetish illustrators like Gene Bilbrew. And then at this time, he was also publishing illustrated fetish fiction booklets which were like, 16 to like 36 little stories of like, oh, you crossed me, I need to tie you up and beat you, and that's like just that's all it is. With like, yeah, one page of text and a page and then an illustration to go with it, which was illustrated by both Bilbrew and also other notable illustrator Eric Stanton as well. Unfortunately, though, Burmel folded by 1959 because of increased legal harassment, culminating in Bertman and Himmel being found guilty of possession of obscene booklets with intent to sell. Because, I mean, these booklets could not go past, like, the 3-point thing. Like they only pandered to people's parade interests. Like there was absolutely no bones about it. So also these things were so expensive back in the day. I think at least like $2 or something like that. These were so pricey to get your hands on. So also they are incredibly rare. So good luck finding any of them. Some people have put up old scans and things like that, but yeah, very hard to find. So yeah, the conviction was overturned, but that folded. But they weren't going to stop there. In 1960, they began with Selby Associates. And they did continue with their fetish digest-sized publications. Also get into... There's this awful thing that they did where they would put out these little booklets. They would have a fantastic illustration by Eric Stanton or Bilbrew. And then all inside it was photographs, no artwork, just photographs. But at this point, they decided to go a bit bigger than just these little digest publications. They expanded into more mainstream, full-size, girly slicks, which were getting very popular by that time. But, them being them, they kind of leaned into the closest things they could to fetishism. At this time, there were cheesecake magazines that focus on nude women in high heels, or in pantyhose and things like that, but still very innocent. So they started to get into those, but their publications just always had a bit of a kinkier bent compared to those other ones. Like the photos are a little bit shadier looking. A lot of the women will be in more elaborate pieces, like knee-high leather boots, fishnets, stuff and such. And they would also have articles about like what's the interest in heels, what's the interest in this and that. So some of their ones, like here's one leg show dedicated to lovely legs. They also had high heels, which is another big one. This is a little cash-in one, but stocking parade, which was mostly just recycled photos. And they'd also have some like fetish fiction that was also illustrated by Stanton or Bill Brew. Humorous little stories about like someone who's, I don't know, obsessed with stockings or obsessed with heels.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Let me ask you something, Alex. Is
yes.
there ever at this point, is there ever photographs with like a man, even like a man's hand in it? Or is that like off limits?
No, what there is, and what I was about to get into, is that Bertman also started to tap into and highlight cross-dressing and transsexualism as well. He had publications such as Female Mimics that highlighted professional cross-dressers. I don't have the issue of high heels, but there was an issue of high heels about like why men cross-dress as well and stuff like that. I think he was one of the first to start doing that as well.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah. So that's what makes me wish we knew more about Bertman, because he really seems to be you really wouldn't probably put out a magazine like Female Mimics unless you were somewhat into and or passionate about it. And then also he also had like another magazine all about strippers, love strippers as well too. And yeah, this was when they were really at their height. Yeah, 1962 was like their best year. And also, what sexploitation people will love about them is that oftentimes in these magazines, they photographed so many of our favorite gals in these mags. Who were some of them?
Under
Gigi
different names,
Darlene,
right?
Well, actually, no. So, I have Mary O'Hara as Mary O'Hara. I have the Bennett twins. Dawn's actually looking great.
Oh my God! Someone photographed her well.
There's Mary O'Hara. Oh yeah,
Mary
I'll put
looks
it up.
Great.
Yeah. Mary's
I love Mary.
fantastic.
I wish she did more. That's fantastic.
Right. They did Gigi Darlene. Interestingly enough, Gigi Darlene's name in the spread that I found is either Lenore Rhine or Lenore Reinhardt.
Yeah,
is how she's credited.
Okay.
Interestingly enough.
Right.
And then who else? Oh yeah, Jackie Richards I've seen as well.
Love
Sheila
Jackie
Britt,
Richards.
Uda Erickson, and Linda Boyce later on.
Really? Oh, they kept going into like the late 60s.
Okay, Bertman continued in various capacities all the way into the 80s.
Oh
The
my
60s
God.
were his absolute heyday. But
Right.
later on, when he started to make less money and stuff, he had to team up with Ruben Sturman, who really,
Oh God. Yeah.
that was not a
Not
really
great.
good time because he was really restricted and getting into like hardcore pornography.
Yeah.
and
Organized
things like
crime
that.
too, big time. Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that's also where I think a lot of this artwork has disappeared to, wherever Leonard Bertman's stuff ended up.
Damn.
Yeah. So as much as
Interesting.
yeah, so as long as his career was after the 60s, it just wasn't as pleasant. He wasn't making a lot of money. He kept on trying to keep in line with what he was doing and put out so many one-shot magazines that just went nowhere. By the 80s, he was very notorious for taking magazines that didn't sell, putting new covers on them, and just trying to shove them out back to try and make more money. Yeah. And a thing that's fascinating about him is that he shot a lot of photos, a lot of these photos in his own apartment. I put in the show notes the bar at the end of his living room is one of the most notorious features that you'll see. If you see that bar,
And the black
which I
and white
think I
tile. Yeah.
yeah, which I think
Right.
I have like one of Jackie Richards in front
Which
of.
isn't that
We'll get to it.
in the
Yes.
and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm looking at that picture. I'm like, wait, I just saw
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's
Yeah.
so great. This is when I love I like when I watch the movies with Doris apartments. I'm like, God, the style, the decor, and now this guy obviously had a great apartment. Loves
Yeah.
showing it off.
Uh-huh. And interestingly enough, I think he might have been behind the publishing company BB Sales Co., which published the Olympic photo readers, which was mostly
Interesting.
sexploitation novel, illustrated sexploitation novelizations.
Right.
But there's a handful of illustrated books that they put out, which are not from sexploitation films. And having seen some of the photos in some of them, there's quite a few pictures of Leonard Bertman's apartment in them.
Oh yeah.
And also, almost all the advertisements in Bertman's magazines were for other in-house publications. It's very fascinating. Even in these like more straight ones, he was also like advertising the fact that he was putting out things like female mimics. So if you're in the closet and you got one of these, they really opened up a whole new world to you. But they have ads for ABB sales as well. However, they're selling photographs, in this case, burlesque stars. However, I have not, in all the other men's magazines, I have not found any ads for BB sales anywhere else. And like I said, most of Bertman's ads were for other in-house things. That's what makes me think he might have been behind, he was likely behind BB Sales Co. And also, that would have been an early Sturman affiliation because those were distributed by Rubin's brother, Joe Sturman.
Joe Sturman.
Well.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, right before he sold off everything to Rubin.
Right.
Yeah. Joe was behind. Yeah, it wasn't Rubin who was behind all those crazy paperbacks like Satan Press and stuff like that. That was actually Joe Sturman.
Right, exactly. I forget about the Sturman brothers. I know everything about Rubin, but I forget Joe is part of that mix for a while as well.
Joe hated being in it. He couldn't wait to take over his father's lead foundry. He hated the industry. Right. He hated the fact that his family was being harassed, all this stuff. So the second he could take over his father's business, he sold everything to Rubin and wiped his hands of it in the late 60s, early 70s, I want to say. I also have to say that almost all this information I could not have gotten without the work and research of Richard Perez Sev, who pretty much has been working tirelessly to preserve not only this man's history, but also artists like Eric Stanton, Gene Bilbrew. He just put out a book by John Willie. All of his stuff is absolutely fantastic. You should go support him. Yeah. Check out his site at fethistory.com. A lot of this came from an article that he published by NWR, probably one of the best articles on there, which is called, let me just quickly get the name because it is an incredible read. Bizarre Life, Leonard Bertman, The Reinvention of Sexploitation Magazines. Yeah, almost all this information I summarized comes from him. So credit to Richard. Please go support him. He's doing fantastic work and also self-publishing all of his stuff. I don't know how he does it. He's doing incredible stuff.
He's a big Jackie Richards fan as well.
Oh, did he just do the Jackie Richards book that came out?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Which I still need to order because
I think it's supposed to be multiple volumes. I think he's only got the first volume out.
And he has been occasionally also reprinting some of these illustrated fiction stories by Eric Stanton as well too. So you don't have to shell out like $300 for one of these booklets.
They're affordable. They're like $15. You can get
so he's
Jackie
been
Richards books.
And his little biographies, like on Gene Bilbrew and Eric Stanton, they are half of them are just beautiful illustrations.
Well, we should have him on, honestly.
Gorgeous illustrations. We have to have him on. Yeah, we have to. Have him on.
And then I forgot to mention we should also have Jane on. Honestly, I mean,
yes,
obviously tied into sexploitation very vividly in both cases. Yeah,
yes, absolutely. However, we have no idea why because of. Once again, Lenny, you had to die. But in 1960, he pursued the idea of making a feature film.
So he's at his height. This is like when he's at his
Yes.
peak, right? So he probably had
Yes.
like money. He's just like, okay, let's do something. Let's invest
Yeah,
it in
he
a
started
motion
to get
picture.
interested. Well, he started to just get interested in the idea of becoming a producer.
Yeah.
I'm trailing ahead a little bit, but he started to set himself up as a producer. He seemed to have aspirations of getting farther into that, starting with Satan in High Heels. Now, a lot around this film is unknown. Right off the bat, the person who created the story was not Leonard Bergman. Interestingly enough, I would have expected Lenny to have been all around, like, we have to have this, we have to have that, all these different fetishes that he's into and things like that. But no, the story came from a pulp fiction writer named Harold Bonnet, who wrote for the pulp magazines in the 1930s. Hated doing it, apparently. He just did it for the money. Very negative memories about doing this stuff. And then afterwards did a few odd writing jobs, one of which was writing some stories for a friend of his. And he did do an interview where he talks about Satan in High Heels. So I'm just going to read that out from his own words. In the 60s, a publisher friend of mine asked me to do several paperbacks for him, which I did, using a pseudonym. Eventually, he and some partners got ambitious and decided to produce a movie. I have no idea who this friend is, folks. He told me he liked my action stories and asked if I would like to do an original story for them, a slam bang cops and robbers thing to be shot in the streets of New York. I said okay. I wrote the story, which was called Satan in High Heels, delivered it, got paid. He liked the story, everyone was happy. After the movie was well along toward being completed, I happened to be in New York and I dropped around to see how things were coming. I picked up a copy of the shooting script and glanced at it. Then I took a closer look. My God, I exclaimed, what happened? The producer shrugged his shoulders. We decided that maybe this wasn't the best time for another chase-type film. Art stuff is coming in, a few nude scenes, that sort of thing. Which, true. I looked at the script again. These characters, they don't even seem to be the ones I wrote about. They're not. We did keep your title, though. Other than that, the scriptwriter just sort of winged it as he went along. Most people don't really understand art movies anyway. Don't put my name on it, I told him. Too late. Even the record album of the music from the show has a jacket printed with your story as the author of the original story. So the man John T. Chapman, who's credited as a screenplay, is obviously the one who changed it into what it became. Strangely enough, however, Bonnet would go on to pen the novelization for the film as Noel
funny.
Candler. Probably again.
That's why I'm questioning this
for money.
story.
That's the thing.
Money.
And they didn't print the jacket of the album before the movie was finished. That's nonsense. It's a low budget movie. I'm not buying it. Not buying it, Gia. So
exactly. And also, I don't think his great grandson, who's still around, thinks that he was just writing little stories for this guy. I don't think he was writing actual paperbacks. Because no one hires a person to write paperbacks and then doesn't do anything with them. I couldn't find any of these supposed paperbacks. That makes absolutely no sense. He probably just was writing stories or treatments or something for this guy. The one good thing is that his son, Walter Bonnet, who was pursuing acting at the time, he managed to get him in as the pianist George. Real good thing about this.
So wait, and that sounds like he was a little more involved with production then too. If he got his son a gig,
see, exactly.
Yeah, come on,
so,
come on now.
Yeah, Leonard is in a brief shot in the plane.
So like both of these guys are like they're both pretty involved in the film. At least they showed up on set. To
Well, Berman definitely is. Bonnet though is trying to. Bonnet, a writer wouldn't be on the set of the movie anyway, but he's trying to separate himself from this project. I don't know why. Maybe because when he told the story, it was after the movie's reputation was in the gutter. So he's just like, I think if it had been a bigger hit and better loved, I think he probably would have put it on his resume.
What I need is some fresh air. And a man.
Larry isn't a man.
Then I'll make him one.
Now, again, there's so much that's don't know. I only have nuggets about this thing, as you guys will see, but let's get into Gerald.
Before you get into Intrader, I just remembered Benedict Himmel is credited on this movie as well. So it was
so
the
it's a
two of
producer,
them.
yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so he even brought in his longtime publishing partner into it in some way
He
to do the
co-produced it.
movie. Right.
Yes, I
I
forgot
think
that.
that's
Yes, I completely
interesting.
forgot
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it really
Himmel
is
was
like the
involved.
work. So it really is the work of like
Mhm.
these publishing moguls,
Yes, and
essentially.
also because their magazines began to tease the film before it came out as well too.
Very smart. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Like in it, like the first issue of High Heels had a special on like saying in high heels.
Love that. Okay.
Though under a working title, Pattern of Evil, oddly enough, I'll get into that.
It's weird because yeah, we'll talk about the later movie.
Yeah, very odd.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should get into Gerald Intrader, which there's not a lot known about him.
Mystery.
Like I was telling you guys, I'm shocked I found what the little nuggets of family information that I did. So guys,
Yeah.
all we've got is he was born in September 24, 1920 in Vienna, Austria. His full name, and if you guys know one of his pseudonyms, you should perk up at this. His full name was Gerald Isidore Israel Nehemiah Intrador. His family, being his mother, father, and sister, were residing in Vienna when Hitler took over. It is unknown, however, when Gerald himself came to America. I found one newspaper article in 1941 stating that he was already living in New York because the article was about this giant hellish boat that was bringing over tons of refugees, and his family was on that boat. He was waiting for his family to arrive. It's unknown how he got in the film industry, but he became most notorious in the mid to late 50s. Oh, I completely forgot about Stripperama. His first real directing credit starts with the wonderful little burlesque film Stripperama, which is a very random thing. I get the feeling he was a director for hire.
I don't know because he's credited as like I think he's credited as art director or stage director on there. So I wonder if he was involved with like burlesque theaters in New York, maybe. I don't know.
Possibly.
Like Lillian Hunt, sort of. Was not really a film director either. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of the thing because there is no official history or any clear connections to be made. It's like all we can do is kind of guess in some of these places.
But there's also the loose connection to Irving Klaw again with Stripperama, so
right.
That's true. Right. So yeah, 53, he started with Stripperama and then Naughty New York in 1959. But besides this film, what he's most notorious for was being one of the go-to men to shoot nude scenes to spice up foreign films. From what I've gathered based on his affiliation, even though, of course, I don't have any definite proof on like which ones he worked on, things like that, he definitely seemed to have been William Mishkin's go-to guy for a bunch of his stuff, such as The Skin Game, which had Audrey Campbell in it, $100 a Night, which had Sharon Kent, maybe Amorous Sex, which has a very hard to recognize Gigi Darlene with jet black hair. Yeah, it took me a second watch to realize it was Gigi, based on her face and. I just know her breasts. I hate it. Sounds so weird, but
listen, I've said that on this conversation. Listen, very, very, very recognizable anatomy in this genre. Well, there was another movie we're doing a commentary for. I took notes on. I was like, oh right, that is that actress because even though her face isn't shown, I know that chest anywhere. Yeah. It's a mark of affection. It's not a mark of perversion. It's a mark of like, oh, I love that. I know that beautiful body anywhere. Yeah.
It's kind of like when I was watching that film that Campus put out, which was spiced up, called The Unsatisfied. I could tell June Roberts was there based on the back of her head and just her legs alone.
Oh yeah,
like those are June's legs. Those are her proportions.
Those are her gams. Absolutely.
Yes, I was like, that's absolutely Junie. The only ones we absolutely know that he doctored up are Heat, The Curious Dr. Hump. He then did those color inserts for Tuck Me In, another fantastic film that more people should see.
Yes.
And in the horror sector, adding more gore and stuff to Night of the Bloody Apes as well.
Alex, who did the inserts for the extra ones for Seeds?
Zero idea.
Because that was
That's a good
who was in those
question.
inserts? Linda Boyce,
Linda
and
Boyce.
Sheba Britt,
Sheba Brett.
Buddha, yeah,
And
I think
Sheba Britt,
right?
and that was
Buddha
that was a
Erickson.
Michigan too, wasn't it?
It was like the
No.
usual suspects. No, that was Bazzini.
That was Alan and Rosalie
Oh
Bazzini.
yeah, you're right. My bad.
Yeah, there was the Bazzinis.
Because I wanted
Which
to
they
say
could have shot that for all I know. They had some money and
Yeah.
had
Okay.
somebody to do that quick. Yeah.
Yeah,
False-
and
false
those are very lazy. Intradors was the classic style. Intradors was the classic style of if the original film has sequences at a nightclub, there will be a backstage scene of a bunch of dancers chatting and changing their clothes. And then during a bathing scene, like the woman will start to get up, and then there'll be a close up of just someone's chest rising out of the water. His stuff's pretty seamless from what I've seen in like Heat and stuff like that. He did good inserts. So Seeds could not have been him. He was way better at this than whoever was doing that.
Yeah, the insert of June Roberts in the Pink Pussy where Sin lives. Yeah, she's like backstage. It's like that classic.
Well, that's
style
that is Jack Curtis.
Yes.
And that's another good film doctor, because that was Lee Hessel had an in-house guy at Canvas, and that was Jack Curtis, who directed Flesh Eaters. But yeah, like it's very interesting that you had these guys who were regularly doing this in New York and they could do it well. So that's why they kept getting work done. But it's also interesting that you have these distributors that actually kind of give a shit about this, because considering that Michigan typically did not give a shit about a lot of stuff, it's very surprising that he would go to somebody that he knew could do the job well.
Well, also at this point,
otherwise I thought he wouldn't care.
Well, at this point, you also just absolutely had to. By this point, Michigan was still held out if he could have, but by around 1962, 1963, you had to start adding nudity. You just had to.
Well, that reminds me of what was that ad that we found? There was some movie that was a French import that was from like 1951 in 1960, and it was released here in like 1966. It's a double feature with, I think, Hot Nuts on the Campus, and it's just like
there's a few of that.
There had to have been inserts, because that's a 15-year-old movie from post-war France. There's no way there was nudity in that.
$100 a Night, which came out around 1967 in this version, was
oh my god.
Which has Sharon Kent. There she is right there.
Oh, my icon. I love her.
Yeah. Because this film, the original film, has to do with prostitution. So, of course, there's an exemplary scene of a prostitute at work with two Johns, which is Sharon Kent. This was from like the mid-50s, I want to say. Oh, I think it was Love Now, Pay Later, which was 53. And then it came out like 55, 65.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I kind of want? I would love a compilation of just inserts for American
I like
films.
them. I like,
for example,
that
one. For example, $100 a night. I only need to see the Sharon Kent stuff. Like, I don't care. I don't give a shit about the rest of the other stuff. Like, I just want to see the inserts. I feel like there could be very interesting faux. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that would be a great compilation.
Agfa guys could do that. Yeah, they're good.
Do a mixtape. Do the insert mixtape. Yes.
Skin Game. I need Audrey Campbell as well and stuff.
Yeah, I don't need to see the rest of it. Just give me the inserts.
I've only watched films like The Unsatisfied for the inserts. Like in The Unsatisfied, Sheila Britt backstage like attacks someone else with a pair of scissors, and then there's like a three-way with her and Audrey Campbell.
Oh, I still need to see that.
The only good part about the amorous sex, awful British singing drama.
Yeah,
just Gigi Darlene. Just Gigi. That's the only good part about that one.
Is she talking in that? Does she have like speaking lines?
No, she doesn't. The man she's with is overdubbed. Like, you want to get into the business, honey? This is how we do it. And he rips off her blouse.
Oh, so they're really trying to make it look like it's an import for sure. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh god. Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
She just makes.
A smart director would have had her just speak in German and then made it look like it was shot in Germany. That would have been great.
That's all. But this was a British film. This wasn't even
that
dubbed.
Wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Right.
No. This was a British. This one was British.
Now imagine Gigi Darlene with her German accent trying to do a British accent for that insert. I would have died. That would have been great. The things that we wish had happened.
I mean, like I said, Hessel was pretty. His pickups were pretty okay. There's something you can find something to enjoy in them.
Right. The
God,
Argentinian
Michigan's
ones
was
are
just
not bad. Yeah, Libertad
they're
LeBlanc
not,
is
they're
pretty great.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're not bad. The Michigans, I'm not too bothered that they have not surfaced because those are films that are over 10 years old.
Right.
And even just look at the trailers that he did, you can just tell there's not
Yeah.
much there. There is not much there in those things. Amorous sex is torture. Torture. One of those films where I'm like, really? We had to get amorous sex and not caught in the act naked? Are you kidding me?
I know.
Ugh. Okay, yeah.
That's for Peppy, Cinderella.
Mind your own business.
How did you live to your present age?
Oh, go soak your head, Paulette.
Put that down, Stacy.
Let's get into Bernard Hershison, the director of photography for this beautiful film. Not to mention Orgy at Lil's.
Terrific work.
Yeah, Bernie's fantastic. He has a very interesting background. He began working in film at an early age. He didn't say where, but he just said at a studio as a gopher, trying out anything he could, any position. He did about everything. He did set design, he did sound, this and that. He became the most interested in photography, however, after being an assistant cameraman a couple times. Then the Korean War came, and he was drafted in 1951, and they asked, well, what do you do? And he hadn't taken the official position yet, but he just told them, I'm a cameraman. So they made him a cameraman. And instead of taking him to Korea, he was shipped off to Europe. And he filmed some very interesting things, like Eisenhower becoming a 5-star general at NATO. There's a photo of him at NATO headquarters, apparently filming that. And then after the war, he came back to New York and started taking any cameraman position he could. Tons of documentaries, lots of commercial work. He was cameraman for that little art film, David and Lisa, which he was a big help in that because the director was not too good at like figuring out how to like block scenes and stuff. So like every night he would sit with him and figure out what they were going to do the next day.
Well, just like Jerry Introtor.
Wait, wasn't that Frank Perry? Did David Lisa, was that Frank Perry? I don't remember now.
So?
Well, I think most people now agree that the secret to his success with his wife Eleanor, that might have been pre-Eleanor. But
well, maybe the secret to this one was Bernie.
Was Bernie, right?
Yeah.
It was Frank Perry, yeah. And Eleanor, Eleanor wrote the movie. I don't think she was involved though. Yeah,
I think we have Bernie to thank for that looking as being what it is.
It looks really good. Mm-hmm.
And sometime again, he didn't give a lot of information about him specifically, but in the mid-50s, through an editor friend, he met Jerry Introtor and started to shoot insert sequences for him, which was how they got together and how he ended up shooting Satan High Heels and Orgy at Lil's Place. Unfortunately, he didn't shoot Sexperts. I wish I could have asked him this before he passed. I do not know if he filmed Caught in the Act naked or not, because the press book has minimal credits for that one. Quickly afterwards, he did a lot more commercials and documentaries, so he may not have always been shooting stuff for Introdor because he was so insanely busy. And also, he also was a go-to cameraman to film quite a few presidents. He was one of the go-tos for John Kennedy. He saw him the day before he died. I believe Eisenhower, definitely Richard Nixon.
Yeah, Eisenhower, he talks about in that commentary track.
Yes, and definitely Richard Nixon, and he says some things about Nixon being really creepy. He eventually stopped filming for Nixon.
Wow. Okay.
There was some bizarre stuff there, and then he directed the fantastic little Crown pickup called The Pickup. Okay. Well, originally Pazuzu.
Right.
In
are there two versions on that Blu-ray?
No,
I forget.
It's just the one version.
It's just the one. Okay.
It is Pazuzu, and then there's an extra of the pickup credits. Yeah, because the credits is the only difference between Pazuzu and the pickup version.
Okay, that is such a special movie, and that was like such a passion project for him. He did so much stuff on that movie.
Yeah,
it's like a one-man show almost. Yeah, it's such a great little movie.
Yeah, if you get a chance to watch that, definitely give the commentary a track a listen, because Bernie's on that with Joe Rubin, and they go into the whole production. And yeah, Bernie was, I don't know the whole, he didn't really go into like how it came about exactly, but I mean, he's
He
basically
might in the interview.
yeah, he's
Maybe
given
the
like
video
full
interview.
free. He was given full freedom over the project. I mean, he got this script from another guy, and it was originally a porno script, he said, and he kind of turned it into this, in his words, a tone poem, which is exactly what the
That's so accurate too. Yeah, that movie, it's kind of, I think we said Submission is kind of like an experience. It's not necessarily a narrative film to go follow from beginning to end. It like washes over you. Pickup is very similar to that. It is very much a mood piece that you experience, not necessarily looking for, narrative points and stuff like that. Yeah, it's very, I really love it.
Yeah, I think the opportunity just must have landed in his lap because, like you said, he was busy doing a bunch of commercial work at the same time as well, and I think he got this script and the money
and that's what he went on to do afterwards. Like that's just what he did for the rest of his life. He had a great long career as a kid.
Yeah, his IMDb is so incomplete because there's so much stuff that is not on IMDb or it wouldn't credit him. It's I think Chuck is the same way actually. C. David Smith is similar in that there's just so much work that we'll never know what the full resume because just nonstop work.
It's commercial work that's not nobody's adding that to IMDb.
Yeah, but see that, folks. That's undeniably one of Crown's best pickups next to like Best Friends and Chain Gang Women and things like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. If you say so.
Oh, I like that one. No, it's not as sharp. Okay.
No,
it's
Chain
not
Gang
as
Women
sharp.
Police Women is way better. That's the Lee Frost
that
pickup.
one's better.
That one's amazing. Yeah.
Wasn't Police Women produced by Crown though?
No, I think it was another Lee Frost pickup.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think Crown. I could be wrong with this. I don't think Crown produced that much stuff in house. I thought it's mostly pickups. It was like a Novak.
Really? Even though all those like weird babysitter and teacher,
those are pickups.
Things? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, those are those are pickups. Yeah, and that's like Young Graduates was a pickup.
We need a book on Crown.
Those are pickups
so badly.
Well, we need to find Crown first of all. We need to find. I'm very concerned, and that's kind of why like this Blu-ray is out of print. All the Crown stuff is if it's out of print, it's not going to come back into print until we figure out where the hell the owners went and the elements went. Yeah. So now it's kind of up in the air.
Yeah. The Blu-ray for pickup is going for like $100 now.
Yeah, I'm glad I have mine. And also it has Orgy at Lil's Place on it, which is like, if you want to see a shockingly not bad Michigan sexploitation movie, I quite like it. That's where you have to get it. Yeah.
Visually, that's just a beautiful film. Mm-hmm.
It is. It's really beautiful.
I was really shocked, coming at that because, I've heard about Orgy at Lil's Place for years now, but I've never seen it.
Yeah.
So when I finally watched it, I'm like, I'm expecting this garbage Michigan movie that everybody makes fun of for being all sizzle, no steak. And I'm just like, it is all sizzle, no steak, but it's also just like a really gorgeous film and with tons of great photography of New York and and
also just I will say fascinating how careful it is. In terms of what it shows, it's very interesting, and like Jerry really knew what he was doing, and I really feel like also Michigan was kind of breathing down his neck, being like, you can only do it this way.
Everything Jimmy McDonough's book, he talks a lot in his Milligan book. He talks a lot about Michigan and how protective he was over Orgy at Lil's Place, especially the title.
Yeah, that was huge. I think that was his biggest release by far. Yeah, nothing beat Orgy at Lil's Place. That did so well.
But it's similar to this in that it is not graphic, and the title implies that it will be much more titillating than it actually is.
Yeah,
and also it's kind of like The Seducers. I'm like, well, how exactly erotic is this going to be? I think it's kind of interesting because people will talk about porno chic, about like this almost crossing over from sex films into Hollywood, where it's like this melding. And I feel like films like this and Orgy at Lil's Place are kind of already moving towards that in the early 60s, where there is that crossover potential because you have real actors, real technicians, real scripts, a really careful use of sexual elements that aren't too graphic. And it's interesting, it's interesting just to note that, like,
Yeah.
And then it all went downhill in the
I mean-
60s. Then something happened where it all went to sleaze.
This
The
movie,
Finleys and the Olga films ruined it.
yeah, like Satan in High Heels, if it wasn't for kind of the nude swimming scene and maybe like that really hot kiss afterwards, this could be like an RKO B movie, don't you think?
Yeah, it's something that you would see like Bel Air Productions doing.
Yeah.
Someone online
United
once
Artists,
once
yeah.
posed the theory that it might have even been intended for later TV play, because those are very easy to cut out too.
Yep,
Like that
that's
nude
true.
scene, you don't need it. You don't need it at all.
No, I could see it working on TV actually. I really could, because it's like, yeah, I mean, even the queer characters aren't as so overtly queer that it's offensive, or that like censor boards would be like, well, this bartender is clearly gay. The owner was clearly a lesbian. It's like it's not that obvious.
I just don't know if they were that forward thinking. I don't know if they were.
Well, I think
they were just
maybe
careful.
because the reviews did really get into that. We'll get
They
into
did.
that.
They did
yes.
notice. So
the reviews
people weren't that stupid. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they did see into it.
I mean, like forward thinking as far as like putting this on TV in that way. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, but
I don't know.
anyways.
Yeah. But let's get into the production, because yes, in the what I started to find in the early 60s, Bertman, I have no idea who his PR man was, but he was, I hope he got a raise, because he really started putting all these little bits in like the little gossip columns, what's going on in Broadway, and and things like that. So early 60s, you start reading things like producer Leonard Bertman has bribed Meg Miles with lead role for his new film. And then Leonard Bertman courts Sabrina for a role. Most interestingly was a piece that said Bertman intended to fly to Paris to sign famed female impersonator Coach Chanel. Although
That's interesting.
Although the article said, well, that's not going to go over well because it is unlawful to do that in the US unless it's Halloween or licensed balls.
Well, how did they get the female impersonator in Teaserama? That was like 50. That was early 50, mid 50s.
I think the laws were different in New York. I think there was something, because there were female impersonators in nightclubs in New York.
Yeah,
so
that's
I feel
a thing.
like, yeah, definitely was
But
a
don't
thing.
publicize
especially
it this
even in
hard.
the 40s. I think that might have been it, where it was like, because I think that would have also drawn undue attention onto the film, where it's kind of like, well, what kind of film is going to have a female impersonator in it? Is it going to appeal to prurient interests? Because that kind of thing happens not on camera at a nightclub at night where adults go. So it's,
Well,
that's interesting though, that they would even, and then also that reminds me of him doing the Female Mimics magazine, where it's like, oh, he was fully aware of who she was. He was fully aware of transvestism and drag and trans performers. I find that's so fascinating to me.
Yeah. I doubt Meg Miles would have signed up for this film though if there was a scene with a female impersonator.
Yeah, maybe not.
I don't.
Yeah, no.
Well, we'll go into it. She already had issues with some press problems.
Yeah, she said, yep, so according to her, this was she was interviewed in, I should point this out because this was an interesting book, in the 90s, Va Va Voom, Bombshells, Pinups, Sex Pots, and Glamour Girls by Steve Sullivan.
I remember that. Yes,
and that's a fantastic book.
Steve Sullivan's books are all good. Oh, I need that book. I don't have that one.
So he did a career-spanning interview with her. I think Lily St. Cyr's in that. So many people before they died. So many people before they died.
Okay. Yeah, I need to order that. Okay.
So once again, thank you, Steve. This is where I got a lot of this from.
His books are great anyway.
According to her, the working title was Stacy. And then this came out even in the press. For some odd reason, later on during production, it was changed to Pattern of Evil. Already, when it was already under the title Satan in High Heels, because articles were like, Satan in High Heels is happening. And then it goes, the title's been changed to Pattern of Evil. Then earlier, right before it's released, Satan in High Heels is coming out. What they were doing, I have no idea. And like I said, one of the teaser mags that they put out, the High Heels issue, credits it as Pattern of Evil. Shot in October 1960. over the course of Bernie remembers it being 21 days. I've also heard 27. So really long. I mean, you can
Long.
tell. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can tell that they took their time with this one. Just by all the lights, you can tell, Jesus, there's like at least 6 or 7 in the club alone. Um,
Yeah, that makes the photography even more like yeah, they put time into this. There were so many setups like for every scene. Yeah.
all right,
club.
wardrobe.
Where was the
Yeah.
club? Did you mention what club it was
Oh,
filmed at?
yes. The club was at La Martinique, which was 57 West 57th Street. It was a basement club.
That's the street that I work on. Once
Really?
again.
Yeah.
Once
This
again,
isn't-
West 57th Street. Well, Carnegie Hall is on West 57th Street, so it's like near Carnegie Hall. Yeah.
Yeah, so
very
I
interesting.
didn't think it was still open at this time. La Martinique was in its heyday back in like the 40s, I want to say, in its original owners, and then it changed hands later on. But yeah, that's where they filmed at the, and then Leonard Bertman's apartment was used as Arnold's penthouse,
Yeah.
hence the bar. And by this point, he has covered it in leather. He's done some renovating, which is one of my favorite parts about looking through the magazines is watching his living room change in terms of like decor
love that.
and stuff like that. One newspaper article, and also it's mentioning the orgy at Lil's place that don't know exactly where, but the stone house they go to was supposedly somewhere in Connecticut. Possibly, again, someone they knew. Because again, Jerry went back and used the house for orgy at Lil's. Where Leonard lived, I have no idea. Someone said it might have been set in place, but that's just a rumor I've heard. In terms of production, this wasn't a fun shoot. At least from yeah. Sorry to burst your bubble, folks, but yeah, it wasn't a very enjoyable time. According to Meg Miles, she thought the original script was a more I don't know what she was thinking, but according to her, the script was a straightforward drama.
It is a straightforward drama.
In quotes,
it plays that way.
In quotes, though. But wait, in quotes. But as the film progressed, the producer switched the emphasis and the marketing to exploit the sex angle.
I mean, yeah.
In the film, not really in the film that much.
Not in the film.
Not in the
no,
film.
but-
That's the thing.
really.
Yeah, that's the thing. In the campaign, yes.
Yeah.
In the campaign, yes. Which was awful because Meg was trying to, I'll go into her bio later, but Meg was trying to get away from her glamour cheesecakey type persona that was like tacked onto her unwittingly. Meg Miles was so over-sexualized, the poor thing. It really affected her career. And this seemed to be like a good break. At this point, she had left Hollywood and come to New York to do more serious acting because horrible stuff had happened in Hollywood.
She was born like in the wrong decade. If she was born like 10, 15 years earlier, she would have been the biggest noir dame on the screen. Like if you see her in even like Calypso Heatwave, which I watched, like it comes through. Like she has such a good noir. Like,
or even like 20 years later, like if she could have come around and done like 70s stuff, she could have been someone like Faye Dunaway.
yeah.
Or
Actually,
you know.
Actually, I'll give the rundown right now because we're already talking about her. What happened was that, okay, so she got into acting and singing at a young age. She was originally born Billie Jean Jones, a name she hated. So she adopted Meg Miles after her great-grandmother, Megan Miles. At a young age, she moved to California and got into acting and singing. Fascinatingly, she was recognized by a talent agent at one of her high school productions. And from that began getting all sorts of small parts. However, a lot of those roles became apparent were based off of her looks and her figure, not her talents. And then as a result, she began getting fans because of her measurements instead of her talents. And then producers, pretty much, I put in here, producers could see little beyond her chest, despite how dedicated she was to her craft. And at this time, it was awful. Gossip columns and tabloids were over-sexualizing the living hell out of her, playing all these different things that she says weren't true, like she ran into Jane Mansfield and they had a like bust off, but Jane backed off because Meg's proportions were bigger, and just
Damn.
absolutely tarnishing her poor reputation. The only thing that helped her was that throughout this time, she was doing tons of singing in nightclubs. She was traveling all over the US, doing that. And that helped back up the fact that like she had talent as a vocalist, which got her one or two recordings released under the Sunset label. And then the singing part in Phoenix City, which really helped. That landed her a 7-year contract with Capitol Records. Around this time, unfortunately, clothed cheesecake photos began making the rounds in men's magazines, once again emphasizing her proportions. So demands for photos of Meg at this time were huge. Like I said, no one saw how gifted she was. Everyone just wanted Meg because of her figure. And it kept on tarnishing
Marilyn
her
Monroe
chance.
syndrome. Yeah.
Exactly. And tabloids also kept on creating false claims. And it came to a really bad head when, at this point, she was also rubbing elbows with Hollywood's elite. And things took a turn at a party held at Sammy Davis's home. A photo was taken of her and Sammy Davis sitting on a couch amongst a bunch of other people. And all sorts of people were there. I know Judy Garland was there. Confidential obtained the photo, cropped it to make it look like it was just her and Sammy alone in a room, and published it with heated innuendos.
Oh, because the
backlash
erase thing? Is that what's going on?
Yes.
And the crazy thing is, they did the exact same thing to Ava Gardner, also with Sammy Davis Jr. His proximity to white women in Hollywood was always used against those white women, and it's sick. It's disgusting for both Sammy and the women. You know, it's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. So her family even started to get death threats from that. She lost many opportunities, including her contract by Capitol Records. Unfortunately, she never got to release an album through them. So by 1959, she was fed up with Hollywood, and that's why she moved to New York to pursue serious acting. And Say in High Heels was her first film. And again, from the outset, she thought it was going to be something that was going to be something a bit more serious and things like that, which is unfortunate. She's so good in this.
She eats this movie up. She eats it up. And like kind of related to what Gentry said, like in a better world, she would have toured with a nightclub act where she did the female of the species is more deadly than the male in her leather outfit. She would have recreated this to uproarious applause and sold out shows. Because
can you imagine her doing that?
That's the world I want to live in. Yeah.
Look, that would have been.
I would have died.
I feel like what brings this movie down for me a bit is that there's not enough of those nightclub numbers. They should have put a few more earlier on in the film. Like we don't get, I think Sabrina's is 3/4 of the way through the film.
Yeah, we have our audition scene, which I think is good. And that actually her vocals in that are better than Female, the Species is More Deadly Than the Male, but different songs, you know.
And I get
what you're saying though.
Yeah, I love that scene too because the song is so poignant to what the character Felice is going through in that moment.
Yeah.
Like when it just cuts to her as she like sighs as she's like hearing the lyrics. Incredible. I love Felice. All I found about Neola Chapman was that she was doing some off Broadway at the time. That's all I got of.
I know. I came up empty too. I was like, oh, another forgotten gem. I'm sure she was great in everything else she did too.
Yeah. I was wondering who this girl was too. I mean, she's like the third billed girl in this, right? But she's really good in this too.
You'll eat and drink what I tell you to until you lose 5 pounds in the places where.
Now listen.
You listen.
No. Little birds in their nests agree.
Stop it this instant.
Speaking of Sabrina, to make things worse, Leonard Bertman.
Sabrina too.
I'll get to her. I got her too. But Leonard Bertman and Sabrina, according to a little gossip piece I found, constantly fought during shooting. It said, Sabrina and producer Leonard Bertman kept yelling at each other all through the filming of Say in High Heels, a low-budget job. Sabrina screamed for her own hairdresser, a private limousine, and other small favors. And Burton screamed, low budget.
I love the idea of him just screaming those two words at her.
So
that tracks. I mean, Sabrina is a full glamazon in this movie, so I totally see that being an accurate thing, not a gossip, not some page 6 blind item. I totally believe that happening. Yeah,
yeah. I should. Yeah, let me get into Sabrina's bio. She has a very interesting. Her career is very interesting.
Yeah.
So she was born as Norma Ann Sykes, and she was actually a junior swimming champion before she was 10. Like that seemed to be where her life was going to go. Was being a swimming champion.
And then she went through puberty.
No, she contracted polio and was in and out of hospitals for the next 4 years. She almost lost both her legs.
Wow.
Yes. And actually, fun fact, physical therapy is what helped give her her proportions.
Okay.
Her legs and, upper half.
Wow.
Yes. So, and she lived in like a smaller town. Her parents ran a little hotel. She told her parents she was going to go visit someone and ended up running off to London at age 16. Ended up destitute, like taking anything job. She even worked trying to sell handmade jewelry to local stores. One thing she noticed though during this time, like as a waitress and things like that, was that her figure made people stop and stare. She eventually befriended a photographer who launched her modeling career. Her big break, however, came in 1955 when, because this photographer handed a producer or comedian Arthur Askey himself some photos, and Sabrina was one of them, and they picked out Sabrina. She became Arthur Askey's sidekick to this show that was popular at the time called Before Your Very Eyes, which she didn't have to do anything. He just said something funny, and she would just kind of giggle and do a little,
This is all over in England?
Yes, this is all over in England. And then this made her, and she had very revealing, tight, low-cut outfits. So she became known as the first woman to show cleavage on British TV.
So she was like a predecessor to like the Benny Hill girls.
Yes.
Sort of similar. And that they were there to be like the beautiful girl with like the goofy comedian. That's interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
And so these small television appearances and her proportions started to get her on the front pages of magazines and newspapers. And she pretty much started to become famous for being famous. Like she was fantastic at trying to find any sort of like publicity, photo opportunity, trying to like crash formal get-togethers, all sorts of things where she knew photographers would be. She really exploited her large chest. At one point, for a publicity thing, she had it insured for £100,000.
Damn, that sounds like Angelique in L.A. Actually.
Right?
who bought billboards of herself and did nothing else?
Based on her stunts, she was almost kind of like a British Jane Mansfield a little bit.
Yes, but at least Jane Mansfield could act.
Yes.
Well, play violin like a pro.
Unfortunately, and I mean, so she was not considered talented, but she was mobbed wherever she went. Like when she was at an airport once and was mobbed so bad, part of the roof collapsed.
Oh my God.
Yes. There's this great piece, probably partially fake, where like a mob attacked her on the streets and like ripped off half her clothes. That got so much publicity.
Wow.
But she did end up taking singing, dancing, and acting lessons. She eventually went on tour with her own cabaret show and got some better bit parts and things. But whether or not she got better, she already had the stain of being this talentless bimbo, unfortunately. Because
she's not Diana Dors.
Yeah, because I love her in Satan. She has a great presence. Like even if she's just playing herself, I think she's just great as that little character.
I do love that she just plays. She just plays Sabrina. Right? She's basically playing herself. Right. I love that.
Because don't they even make that comment like, "Oh, you just came back from England"?
Or also, where did Kenyon find her? Sabrina found herself.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Which is very fitting.
I love that.
Oddly enough, at this point, also she was also hanging around Hollywood's elite too. In America, she was just known as that busty British girl, but she was like hanging out with Elvis Presley and things like that, which is probably how she eventually met the wealthy gynecologist that she married in 1967, eventually moving into his mansion in California, which prompted her to just give up show business. As quickly as she started, Sabrina walked away from it all. Tragically, after she divorced him, she ended up in a small house in Hollywood where she lived as a recluse, especially after she always had back problems. I wonder why. She had a really bad botched back problem, which left her paralyzed in her lower half.
Like a back surgery?
Yes, yeah. Sorry, yeah. She had a botched back surgery. And yeah, she died a recluse. It took over a year for people to realize she'd even passed.
Which is sad because I remember the early days of the internet. Someone made a Sabrina tribute website.
Yeah.
And I think they actually interviewed her at her home. Like they met her. And she didn't let them take a picture of her now, but they asked her questions, and that's sad. Very sad. Because I like her in the Ice House as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I need to watch that.
Can I help you, doll?
Are you the attendant?
Tenant and superintendent.
Well, I certainly don't think much of your service.
Well, you really haven't tried it yet.
Now, do you think I could have some change, please?
Another satisfied customer.
Well, this is one customer who doesn't want her ice melted. So let's get on with the business, okay?
My favorite woman in this is Grayson Hall.
You like
of course.
that? I mean, she's not really that old in this, but she gives off that vibe of like.
She somehow has it. Yeah, you said that she had a 2-year-old at home, and I'm like, this woman gave birth 2 years ago, not 22 years ago.
She was incredible. So she was born September 18, 1992, as Shirley Grossman in Philadelphia. Tragically, she became interested in acting partially to escape her very painful childhood. Her parents, I know at one point they went through a horrific, bitter divorce and things like that. So, funny enough, while she was still in high school in Philly, she would come to New York City and audition for roles. So she was starting out very young, and she had a very active stage career in off Broadway and off Broadway, and was in many influential and avant-garde plays. Like she was in the first iteration of Jean Genet's The Balcony, which went on for over a year. Yeah. And also around this time in early 1960 was in one or two very little, I don't think you could find them, experimental type films as well. She was in The Balcony while she was doing this. She was doing that during the evening, and then during the day she was shooting Satan in High Heels. And then, yes, she had a 2-year-old at home at the exact same time. Thank God she had live-in help. Yeah, she had some fantastic live-in help at this time.
Wait, you said she was born in 1902?
22.
Oh, 22. Okay. I was 38 years old mother. Okay. Wow. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Thankfully, though, apparently one of the main locations was around the corner from her old apartment. She has a great biography. I got this from her biography. Grayson Hall, A Hard Act to Follow by R.J. Jameson.
Oh, I didn't know she wrote a book, or there was a book about her. Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a really good book about her. And the author seemingly, I guess, interviewed Del Tenney, because he revealed in this book that she argued with Intrador and others on the production team. He recalled that Intrador was supposedly very inexperienced, which bothered some of the actors. So Grayson only mentioned it once in 1964 for something else, saying, "Satan taught me the ABCs of what not to do in movies." And then later on, she would publicly deny that she was in the film.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I think everyone knows her for Dark Shadows now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, it's funny. There are viral video clips that have gone around of her horrific smoker scream on that show. It's it is so grating and horrible. It's very over the top. So yeah, I mean, she was perfect for a supernatural soap opera.
Well, let me just say, like, yeah, she should not be ashamed of this movie. I don't get that.
Oh, she's great in it.
I assume
Yeah.
that, like, she just had bad memories of making it with,
Hmm.
she clearly was a level above some of these people she was working with.
Hmm.
So I'm sure that colored her
Right.
perspective. But yeah,
I
she's,
also don't
Hmm.
think she liked her name being beside the campaign art that they eventually went with either.
Oh,
okay.
probably
You
not.
know,
Yeah.
while she's busy in things like the
Right.
balcony, she's in something called
Yeah.
Satan High Heels with Meg Miles' figures
Sure.
all over and
But then
things
that's
like
like,
that. Like,
oh yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. But I think like the same applies to Meg. I don't know if before Meg passed away, if anyone actually sat her down and was like, let's watch this. See how
she,
amazing you are,
well,
regardless of the
here's what
memories.
she,
Yeah.
here's what she said. I don't even put it on my resume.
Meg?
Yes, because why don't
It's
we
like her
get
only lead
into?
role.
Well, let's get into the worst part of this. What ended up happening later on in the production, while they were filming the nude swim scene out in Connecticut, revealing photos were secretly photographed of her. In her own quotes, she says, a no photos edit was posted on the location set. Only essential film crew members were present. I spent a very long time in the cold water, and alcohol was given to me in a bottle to help ward off the cold. Someone snuck those shots of me being pulled out of the water. And according in another newspaper bit, she went because she went on to publicly decry the fact that this happened. I have a piece saying Meg Miles is not at all happy. She went to considerable expense to build a new Meg, classes act at the actor's studio, and a wardrobe with which played down her formidable proportions. So what's happening? What's happening is that Meg's movie, Satan High Heels, is about to be released. There's a nude bathing scene in the film featuring the old Meg, and the producers refuse to scissor it out.
Oh wow! So this little blurb came out on the newswire before the movie was even released. That's kind of
Yes.
wild. That
Well, because
yeah,
it
she
took two
So,
years for this to come out for some reason.
and also, those
Yeah.
photos started getting leaked to men's magazines before the film even came out. So everyone is
Yeah.
thinking that they're going to
Right.
see a lot more of Meg
yeah.
Right.
than they are.
Yep.
And so she later on did this long piece where she talks about the fact that like like hey, greater actresses were doing this. I didn't want to, but like hey, I went and did it. They said that I was gonna have a stand-in. I got
Mm,
there. There's no stand-in.
yeah.
I'm in this freezing water, so it happens. And then suddenly she's horrified to reveal that all these photos start popping up in all these magazines.
Hmm.
So yeah, she tried a bit to
Did you ever find
fix that.
evidence of those photos?
I found I couldn't find like PDFs of the magazines that are supposedly in it. Velva Voom actually has a whole list of all the magazine appearances she has, including the ones which include the swimming shots. The
Oh,
only one
interesting.
I've ever seen is one with her breasts so close to the water you can like definitely see her nipples and things like that.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Uh,
Well, I
yeah,
guess this is what happens when your magazine publishers who are working with models and a director who has worked with burlesque dancers, and now you're working with like professional singers and actors, and
Mhm.
you don't know how to adjust your professionalism to match the professionalism of everyone else that you've cast in this film. I mean, that's yeah, because even Del Tenney was a professional actor. Like everyone involved with this
Right.
is a professional. So yeah, I guess that makes sense that Meg and Grayson are like, this is insane. It's really crazy. What did I sign up for? Yeah, it's a
yeah,
bummer.
yeah. Del Tenney and whatever I've found just only like really passed it off. It was like, yeah, there's like proto porn things I did, like saying high heels and orgy at Lil's place. Yeah, that was just
Like,
it.
I'm like, well, Dell was lucky because no one ever seen Orange is the Lowest Place. Now that we've seen it, we know that it's not porn anything.
No.
But neither is Satan in High Heels. There's nothing remotely
No.
pornographic about either of them. Yeah.
Exactly. However, though, reviewers really made it seem like it did for some odd
Yeah.
reason. Like reviewers really freaked out. That's all I have about the production. The
It's
only
still
other,
good stuff, but it also kind of
yeah,
sours it. It's like, how did something that was such a trouble production turn out to be so terrific. I guess I think it helps that it's so beautifully photographed by Hershenson that it covers up all of that, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it also makes me wonder, regarding these lost scenes and footage. Was it possible they saw a version with something spicier in there? Because there's.
I wonder.
Oh yeah, I'll get into that. How I figured this out first was, I got into Leonard Berkman. I started looking through PDFs of his magazines later, and I came across the issue of High Heels that had a little thing of Sabrina that's in the corner that said Pattern of Evil. I'm like, oh, there's information on saying High Heels. There's an alternate title. So I flip into it, and there's photos from a scene that are in the movie. Which, as you saw, folks, again, subscribe to our Patreon. They're in our show notes.
It is a must subscribe. There is so much great stuff in there. Yeah. I'm not saying if I wasn't a co-host of this podcast, I would be subscribed because I want access to all this stuff.
Folks, I will tell you, I'm going to start slowly putting up some of these exploitation actress features from these magazines where they become applicable. Yeah. You're going to get good stuff.
I'm excited for that.
But anyway, so this mag showed shots of Arnold and Stacy in his bedroom. She's half undressed. He's in pajamas, and she's like sitting on the bed, like with her at the edge of the bed with her leg extended, and she's got a high heel on.
Yeah, I think there was a shot of him. That's what I thought. There's
a shot of him putting the high heel on her, and things like that. And I thought that this was like cut out and completely lost. However, there was just a video of Vinegar Syndrome headquarters where you saw some cans for Satan in high heels.
Yes, we looked at those videos with a microscope, didn't we, guys?
and I freaked out. And I freaked out because I think it said like, I don't know, one of the cans said like fine grain or something. And so I thought that Vinegar Syndrome at least had the fine grain for it, which I'm like, fantastic. So only the neg is held hostage. They have the second best thing. They have a fine grain. Right. Okay, great. Right. I comment on that, and good old Joe Rubin says, no, these are just for hot scenes. So Vinegar Syndrome has cans of Satan high heels that are supposedly hot sequences, but they remain unseen.
Well, also, that's surprising because if those are part of the movie lab rate, then I would think they would have been on the DVD. So where did those surface from?
Maybe they showed up later. Because that raid took a while to go through.
Well, that's true. That's why it took forever to get to the Seeds work print and some other stuff on there. The Smut Peddler was a late discovery. Yeah, that's interesting.
I would not that I see those inserted. I don't know.
I don't need to see them inserted because I like the movie as it is. I think it works as it is perfectly. I wouldn't mind watching those just to get an idea of what audiences might have potentially have seen that was a little sleazier and a little more adult and more tuned into the audience that the publishers were already trying to appeal to with their magazines. Well,
they were shot in the can, but did they ever end up in any prints even?
Yeah, we don't know.
We do not know.
That's the thing. Well, maybe they only went to specific territories that they knew would be maybe more okay with it, like... Well, I don't know. In '62, what territories would have been okay with them?
So here's the thing.
European export. I don't know.
This wasn't released in as a typical sexploitation film.
No, it wasn't. That's true.
This was released as an independent general release film. It premiered at the Forum in Manhattan. Huge ads too. Cosmic Films put in money for this. What date did it open in? I have it written down somewhere here. March 23, 1962. And one of the things you could get if you were there early, they handed out 200 free albums as well.
Incredible album.
So if you like the music, So also unlike other films, this also had an album release, which for
an album and a book, which is so unheard of for both things. One maybe one, but for both, they really were really they were putting a lot of eggs in one basket with this. They were like, this is going to be a huge hit and we're going to make it happen. Yeah.
Well, it seemed, remind me to get to the book later on because we got to talk about the book as well, too.
Yeah, for sure.
But this did do well. Because this played so much, I only chronicled 1962. In that year, and also, it was tame because it like 2 months into its run started playing in Canada, and we're notorious up here. Oh, we're crazy up here about our censorship. 1962, it played it in at least 100 different spots throughout that year. Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And Cosmic Films is odd. The only other film they released was a really bizarre French sci-fi comedy called Nude in His Pocket, which was...
that thing?
Yeah.
That was a 50... Wasn't that a 57 movie that was... That's a reissue.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But the main co-feature it played with a lot was Girl Can't Help It.
Okay. Jane Mansfield? Which is crazy because that's 20th Century Fox. Oh, well. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's second run. 20th Century Fox can't, I guess, control that. If you have a print of it, you'll just play it. Wow.
Well, they must know it played a lot with it was its number 1B. It played at least 50
then
spots.
How did that happen? 20th Century Fox wouldn't have saddled their movie with something like this, I wouldn't think, unless they were like, well, this saves us from actually doing anything in the adult market but still making money off of that market potentially.
Well,
maybe
this wasn't the adult market though. This was a mainstream release, wasn't it?
Were the reissues more of an adult market situation?
Yes. So it played consistently from 1962 to 1964. Kind of its quote unquote first run. After that, it still had legs. It became a second feature for occasional other general stuff, and then also became lumped in with early sexploitation product like Dr. Sex, like nudies and things like that throughout the rest of the 60s.
So I wonder if that lost hot footage was ever inserted when it became a second feature. That would have been the time later. To do it. If they ever did, but again, there's no evidence that it was ever in there.
Exactly.
And I guess did you see if it was handled, but was it always that same distributor?
From whatever credits I could find, because
that's always tough.
Second and third, like when it was second featured in the sexploitation, it's mostly just like the title listed like as plus Satan in high heels.
Right. Like they just had a print lying around that they never returned or something.
Yeah. Only its first release was. Well, so Cosmic could have also just let it be. It's kind of like how Friedman let She Freak be a second feature for other people's films. Like Cosmic could have just
That's true.
Offered it for flat rental.
Well, it makes me wonder what the budget was for this. Maybe they're just like, we just need to keep it playing forever because we need more money coming in to cover the budget of this thing. Yeah, I mean,
I think so.
I think pressing an LP and a book and all this other shit attached, it's like they put money into this. Like I think they wanted to make sure they got everything back. Yeah,
it did do well in certain spots in certain key cities. Again, it wasn't like a sexploitation film where it could stay for like 10 weeks if it did super well. The most it played was 4 weeks in Portland. Other good spots were New York, it did well. Chicago, it did well. Chicago, it normally played 5 at a time. It played in 5 different theaters, disappeared for a couple months.
One of those, yeah.
Came back for 5 more. Yeah, it got semi-saturation in couple bigger metropolitan cities.
Interesting. Wow.
Okay. And went to a lot more backwater places. I found this playing so many weird areas in like Pennsylvania and stuff. It really bounced and bounced and bounced and bounced and bounced.
Yeah. Well, it helps that the title is really... The title's great.
Yeah.
Title's also great. It's nothing that also wouldn't need to be censored in newspapers. So... It's tantalizing without being too provocative. It's not one of those things that's like, call the theater for this title. It's like, no, Satan in high heels sounds great. It sounds like a film noir. It could be a film noir. It could be a sexy movie. It could be anything. Yeah.
It had a great tagline: the smile, the shape, the silky softness of an angel. With that key art that key art.
Yeah. See, I hate those stories of the production sucking because I just think everything connected to this movie just like hits my heart. It really just like, I love it all. I love it
Within
all.
the handful of this is one of my top favorite movies within 20 or so. I love this movie.
See, this is one that I feel like I'm a little disconnected from you guys on. This is a rare.
That's
Really? It was because you were
Yeah.
expecting it to be sexier?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Then that might have been why.
I
Because it
see.
really isn't. It's just like it's a character study of a horrible woman trying to make her way ahead. It's, you know what it's like? I wonder if you'd gone into it expecting to see something like Babyface with Barbara Stanwyck, where it is
Right.
similar to that,
Yes,
where
it
she
is.
basically is sleeping her way through this one location to try to become successful. Babyface is actually, well, except for the nude scenes, Babyface is actually more suggestive than this.
Right.
I think.
Exactly.
And that was 30 years previously. Almost exactly, actually.
I'm trying to think back now. It's like the like most striking part of this movie to me was just like the small scene where she's finally wearing leather and you can hear like the
Yes.
cracking of the leather on the microphone.
Yep.
I was like, oh, that's good. I like that. I haven't heard
Yeah.
that like in
Yeah.
a movie of this type
That
before.
sizzles.
Yeah, I wanted more of that though.
Yeah, I get that.
Like she doesn't
Yeah,
even
I can understand
she doesn't
that.
even crack the whip. There's not a single whip crack in this whole movie.
Well, she hits the
does at
junkie
the
boyfriend
end.
at the end.
Yeah,
Oh,
she does.
yeah, when he's on the ground, yeah. She kind of
Yeah.
beats him
Mhm.
with it, but she's not like cracking it.
Yeah, what sucks is that she gets hit. She gets smacked
Yeah.
by
Yes.
Arnold.
Yeah,
She's the one who gets whacked, actually.
yeah.
The word.
I'm still rooting for her.
So
I'm still rooting for our girl. I'm like, whatever,
Just-
guys, get over it.
despite the fact that it played a lot, it was eviscerated by reviewers.
Some of
The
those reviews are
only
brutal.
good thing it that had a good mention was Mundell Lowe's score when the soundtrack was
terrific.
released. Yes,
That's great.
That's the only part of it that got a good one. I've got to, in case anyone,
You got to
I've
talk
gotta
about
talk
the
about the one.
Walters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So in Bob reviewer Bob Walters in Portland, when it was playing its longest run at the Five Arts, gave it a terrible review. But I will point out the last paragraph though. At the very end, the only thing he says that might make someone want to go to see this is there is one outstanding scene, however. Stacy, back in the sack after an early morning swim, is just about to seduce the club owner's son, and she gives him one of the most erotic kisses ever seen on film. Compared to this bit, friends, the much discussed cozy sequence in The Lovers is like two six-year-olds playing spin the bottle. Well, the Fine Arts read that review, and they put a quote in their ad that instead said, "One of the most erotic compared to The Lovers is like two six-year-olds playing spin the bottle." And then a day or so later, while that ad was still up, so the ad and then his column beside it, Bob says, "Yes, I know the Fine Arts is using an out-of-context quote from this column in its ads for that lousy movie, Satan in High Heels. Just to set the record straight, I hereby offer another quote from the same column. The Fine Arts Theater, in spite of its high-sounding name, is well on the way to becoming a cinematic junkyard. You're welcome, Fine Arts, anytime."
Gosh, I commented under it. I was just like, you bitch, Bob.
I know. But also, like, this bothers me in this review.
And they called it a sex film, too. It's not.
Yes, they did.
Really?
Well, he
Yeah.
says so Bob Walters writes the star Miss Miles goes around wearing tight black leather outfits which make her look like an oversexed seal, rude.
Yeah,
And another of
super
his
rude.
players, a blonde called Sabrina, is so front heavy that one marvels at how she manages to stay erect. I hate that.
Oh.
And then this other review, David Cobb, you mentioned,
I love this
says,
one.
"There's Britain Sabrina, that wretchedly talentless mountainous wasteland. She has nothing to do with the plot as such, but taking the word fetish at its absolute, quote, inanimate object regarded with awe, she qualifies as one all on her own." Like, you know what?
Yeah. That
The
reviewer,
misogyny.
Like, can
saying
you not
high
have
heels
you're
is
given
a
a
garden
good
of
thing
fetishes?
here. Yeah,
What?
what?
Yeah, like
I
you're really
just-
forget over nothing.
yeah.
What? It is not a garden of fetishes.
Not at all. No. I wish it
mean,
was.
I wish
know.
there was a movie
Yeah,
called
it's not
that.
at all.
I wish there was a movie called Garden of Fetishes.
Yeah.
But
That's a great
alas.
title.
So in the end, do not know what Bertman and Himmel saw from it. For the next 2 years, there was little things planted in the paper saying that producer Leonard Bertman is getting 2 different projects off the ground. He tried to get off the ground. Nothing ever came of them. And nothing really exploitation-y. Like more straight-laced dramas and things like that. So he continued publishing after this. And that was about it.
It's too bad he didn't try again in the late 60s when he could have like really pushed his fetish imagery to, to the limit at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
What if he was Cosmo Vance? Wouldn't that be interesting?
You've got my
Cosmo Vance movies are pretty kinky, pretty fetishy.
Yeah, they are.
I wonder.
Yeah, but it's interesting.
He could have been anybody. Who knows? But I wonder. Yeah, I don't know.
It is interesting that at least after saying High Heels, because the books came out in like the late 60s, he then, I think, started putting out sexploitation novelizations.
Right.
As well. So he's still around a little bit.
So he's still connected to that film industry in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Sturman connection too. Great. And that's the thing, even the connection to Sturman with Sturman's connection to film, I'm really surprised. I guess the taste of Satan in High Heels left such a sour memory in his mind that he was like, I don't think this is for me.
And again, it seemed like he couldn't get anything off the ground, and publishing at this point was still doing really well for him.
Right. So why bother doing something that's so difficult when publishing is so easy?
And it's such a gamble. Yeah. It's like
yes. Yeah. Once you have the publishing down pat, you know what works. It's less. Why take a risk on something that could lose you so much money when you know that you have a guaranteed source of income and it's something you enjoy doing too?
And he spent a lot of money. He obviously did spend a lot of money on this film. Like, he really did not need to get Sabrina in this. He could have possibly been cheaper. It could have been cheaper than what it must have cost.
You're telling me there wasn't an entertainer like her in New York at that time? Come on,
Yeah.
But I think he wanted that continent. I think he wanted something continental. He understood her appeal. Trying to get a French drag performer, I think he clearly was aiming for the stars with his first movie, because he was like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do something like extravagant and big. But I think he was thinking, when you're coming from the publishing world, that explains why all these professional actors were just like, this isn't it. This is not it.
Yeah,
it's a bummer.
Exactly.
I say, what on earth is that?
It's a riding crop for Stacy's act.
She's riding? This I must see.
Speaking of sexploitation, though, Gentry, if you didn't like this film because of that, you would have loved the novelization for this.
Yeah.
Because this is pretty much the sexploitation version of Satan in High Heels.
The movie.
This takes the move. I like both. I do really like this book, but it is a different beast. It's faithful to the film, but it takes a lot of sleazy liberties. I took notes of all the really big ones. Should I go through them?
Oh my God, yes, please.
Yes, okay. Oh my God. So yeah, Paul is very openly gay because he hires a little stud that he's trying to get at in the club.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Pepe has occasional liaisons with various women because she comes into the club haggard, and Vince is like, "Was it a hard night?" And she was like, and it mentions that she had a rough go. Everyone's more in depth than this. She herself is very flustered by Stacy and her attractiveness. Later on, actually, the whole thing is interesting. It is very explicit about the fact that right off the bat, Pepe is intentionally polishing Stacy up for Arnold's pleasure. She and Stacy have sex multiple times so that Pepe can teach her all the weird little things that Arnold is into.
Oh,
so
wow.
she breaks. So she very explicitly breaks Stacy in for her, and it's continuously brought up that you're eventually going to be with Arnold. That's eventually going to happen. Sabrina is not remotely airheaded. The second Stacy and Sabrina meet, Stacy immediately rips into Sabrina, and they immediately form a rivalry.
Okay.
Yeah. More sex.
I think, you know why?
Larry,
Probably because Sabrina as an actress is limited. And so they were able to give her more to do in the book.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have to worry about Sabrina bringing that to life. Yeah.
Well, actually, this is only the real moment that she actually shines in the book, oddly enough. And then,
interesting. Okay.
Because also around this in the same time of the movie, like as you know, is also when she meets Lawrence and begins a thing with him. In the book, when they first meet, he sneaks into her dressing room and they have sex. And Lawrence immediately falls in love with her. Yeah, Stacy is better. Stacy's a lot more manipulative. When Arnold finds out about their affair, she does this whole thing where she like literally pretends to start packing up and leaving. And he has this like giant breakdown. Don't leave me, don't leave me.
They have a little bit of that in the movie. Yeah. Where it gets down on his
it's a
knees,
lot more intense though. Like Stacy actually fakes remorse for what she did. She's like, I feel so bad. Like, I guess you won't want me. She goes forlornly to like pack up and things. And he's like, no. Then the other big thing, Larry actually does meet with her before the show, unlike in the movie, but is taken away. And then in even darker than the ending to the film, Stacy literally walks out with the clothes on her back from the club. Arnold takes the apartment keys out of her hand after the whole scuffle in the back room. So she once again walks out. Oh, and in this one, her club outfit is a fitted leather dress with tall, like knee-high boots. So she walks out like she did in the carnival in her outfit and just a coat over her back out into the streets.
I like that.
I like that though.
So yeah, very good book. I kind of want to contact the grandson and ask if he's interested in like re-releasing it. It's a good little novel. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. If somebody was going to be,
his grandson's
reissuing, if someone's going to be reissuing this on fucking Blu-ray, do a paperback reissue tie-in, Severin. Yeah. And since Severin has now established that they can do business with this turd, then maybe they're the people to do this. I would love that book to be reissued.
Yeah, they haven't done like a small little paperback tie-in, have they?
They've they've done fresh ones.
That's true. They have done fresh ones. Yes, that's true. Yeah. No, they haven't done reissues of existing books, but they have had paperback tie-in novels. Like they did, then they do a Night of the Demon one. There's a bunch on the website. I never order them because I'm not interested.
Demon.
Yeah, Maybe I like that they do it, but I'm not. Yeah, I think so. I'm not. Yeah, it's not like where Arrow repressed the Blood Feast paperback for that box set that I bought. Yeah. I still haven't read that yet.
I'm interested in novelizations at the time because, again, I got this hoping that this was based off the script and I would maybe figure out what was missing. But this takes too many liberties. There's just too many liberties for this. But, as horror fans know, with April Fool's Day and stuff, novelizations can have alternate stuff in them.
Yes.
That's kind of what's interesting about novelizations from that time. Nowadays, you do just watch the movie. And it's just the fans. I see, people like them. Some people like them. They're not for me.
I get the appeal, but they're just not for me. I'd rather see, that's what I want. Well, I know, you know what? Vinegar Syndrome and Dystropix could do that because they're going to be eventually putting out Starlit. And that paperback tie-in, which I also still need to read, that would be a great reissue too. So it's, there are enough interesting examples that could be good reissues for sexploitation books. But this is one that I remember I bought it years ago and I still haven't read it. It's sitting on my nightstand. I was supposed to read it before this episode, but I knew you were, so I was gonna be good.
Folks, I'll put that out there. Unlike Olympic photo readers and things like that, this can be found every once in a blue moon. I wouldn't pay more than $20-25 for it. It is a good read. I do like it. I was talking to another one of our pals who was like, I wish this film had more sex. I was like, you've got to read the book. It's the sexploitation version. It's it's the sleaze stuff.
So I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Somebody else.
Yeah, that's interesting to me though. I mean, the lack of sex in a sexploitation movie has never bothered me because if there's enough that's interesting in it without the sex, then I'm like, that's great. I think if you go in, but honestly, I also don't go in with expectations into sex movies. Unless I go into a Barry Mahon movie and think it's going to be terrible and then it turns out not to be, then it's like, oh, wow, okay, great, I do like this. I go in with low expectations so that I tend to be more impressed and I kind of rate in a higher grade sexploitation because I go in with low expectations because I know the history of it and stuff like that. So yeah, this is and this is so early in the genre anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when you're considering that Olga came to the screens 2 years later, technically 4 years after production of this movie, I can't believe it took 2 years for this thing to come out. But
it came out in 1962. It was finished at the very end of 1960. Took a year.
Oh, they shot it in December of 60?
No, it was shot in October. Shot in October. They must have cut it.
Oh, October 60. Okay, God, that's still a long time to take to cut it.
I know. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, they did at least cut it, probably in 1960. Then it was, who knows what was going on for a year span.
That's so long. That's
they're
really
probably
wild
deciding how much. They're probably deciding, how far they wanted to push some of these scenes.
That's true.
I bet they were like, okay, is this going to be a straight up mainstream? Get this in as many theaters as possible type of thing, or is this?
I wonder if this weird company, Cosmic Films, was like one of the few who was like, "I'll try it."
Yeah.
Right.
Whoever these people were,
whoever they were, right? Yeah, I don't know, but it's because I mean,
like an art film distributor, like back when like Joseph Brenner and Sam Lake were doing just like art films, things like that. Like they couldn't have done this film in the general release market. They weren't really doing that.
No, because exactly. Well, except for Joe Brenner handled The Seducers. I think that was his attempt to do something like this, where it was something a little more mainstream.
Right.
That was a little more mainstream, but even then, he did not do that for that long. I mean, he went back into the gutter pretty quickly. Everyone had to try to get a little more substantial business. With Sam Borden, I think, tried it once too, didn't he? We talked about that. Like with one, like it wasn't Nudes of All Nations, substantially more of a, well, that's still sexploitation, so I guess not.
Well, I'm still flabbergasted as to why he even handled My Baby Is Black. Like, was that an attempt to do something? I don't know what's up with that.
With that
film,
title, I don't know.
That's so strange. Yeah, that was such a strange one from him.
At least Checkerboard is a title that could pass as an art film, and it is an art film. When you watch the film, it's such an artsy fartsy French movie.
Yeah, but I was like, was he going for like a more general exploitation shocker with that title and stuff?
Yeah, with that title for sure. Yes. But then I would think Checkerboard would be his attempt to be like a crossover, because Checkerboard's the kind of movie that I could see some sleazy sexploitation producer thinking, I can submit this to the Academy for some awards or something. No chance in hell. But somebody with the taste of some of these distributors would think that something is art when it isn't necessarily, art. But yeah, I guess I understand why you kind of
let me be clear.
Your feelings about this.
I'm not saying there wasn't. I was looking for more sex necessarily, but just more like fetish imagery. Right when it opens, the credits are like, oh, they have a leather wardrobe consultant and lingerie and furs and footwear. I'm like, oh, let's, and it kind of goes by really fast. Like, yeah, she grabs a fur out of the closet and then you don't see it again. It's just like I wanted more wardrobe, actually.
Again, with the Bertman connection, I was a little mystified.
And the Bertman, it's just like, this is a guy who's like into this stuff. Let's see more of it. I don't know. But again, it's the time. Like I said, a few years later, maybe he could have gotten away with it. But maybe that's what they were cutting, for so long.
Can you imagine if this got inserts? Jerry came back and did inserts.
Let's not do that to Meg. Don't do that to Meg.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know. We don't know what those hot scenes are. Maybe they're, maybe he did. Yeah, maybe he did. We don't know.
Yeah, kind of like, makes me think of like the Moonlight Wives thing, where mostly it was the soft version, but like occasionally you did get the slightly hotter one.
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point, I don't know. I think going into sexploitation, first of all, never expect it's going to match what I've heard about the film, or if it's going to match the advertising. I've always loved this because I went in. I don't know what I went in I think also because it was a sexy shocker when I first saw it, and so I was expecting it to be like a sexy shocker, and it's not. It's like a really terrific melodrama, and so I don't need any of the stuff that the film was promising in the advertising campaign because it won me over with the performances, the cinematography. It works as a film, so I don't need it to be kinky or sexy or any of that stuff. But I can understand why. I think that's probably why it got the reviews that it got. That's kind of reminds me of Vincent Canby raking Memories of the Misagi over the coals, saying like, well, this is a porno movie and it's really slow and boring, and he thinks that he's Bergman and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, maybe lock into the fact that it's a well-made movie, and maybe, I'm sorry you can't jerk your gherkin in the theater watching Memories of the Misagi. Maybe focus on the filmmaking aspects of it, like you're a New York Times reviewer that you are.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to rewatching it. That's for sure. Because now I have I don't have those expectations. Yeah,
I liked it better on a rewatch. I appreciated it when I first saw it, but then I had to take a couple of years.
Actually, you know what you should do? Watch. Oh yeah, you don't have the DVD, right? You watched this on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't have the DVD.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah. See, if you watch the DVD, if you have the DVD, you can then watch The Wild and the Naked to get your sexploitation jollies, and then go back to Satan in High Heels and be like, okay, this is like a legitimate sordid melodrama.
I have access. I have access to The Wild and the Naked. So
watch that. Watch that, and then be like, this is the shit that was coming out in 1962, and then go back and be like, okay, that's why this is elevated sexploitation. Basically,
The Wild and the Naked is exhausting, but we'll talk about that. So much running.
I mean, exhausting for her, sure, but yeah,
it's exhausting for me to watch as well. I don't know.
It's not. Wait, there's more running in Passion in the Sun. I think there's way more, and that loop scream over and over.
Yes,
you know what? I kept on waiting for the French girlie to look over the reservoir and see Passion in the Sun girlie running past with her little suitcase.
They have mirror experiences.
Yes.
Right.
Care if you can breathe or not. You'll wear a girdle and smile.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description.
Are you a film fan who loves the ultimate home video experience? Look no further than The Disconnected. Your host, Ryan Verrill, is your go-to source for the latest and most accurate information on home video releases, exclusive interviews with industry insiders and filmmakers, and has established a thriving community where every film and physical media enthusiast feels welcome. From hidden gems to blockbuster hits, The Disconnected brings you insider knowledge and a welcoming space to share your love of cinema. Watch every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific for the live announcements show, and follow The Disconnected on social media to stay updated. Subscribe to The Disconnected on YouTube or on the podcast provider of your choice, and dive into a world where every movie night is an adventure.